is where you begin your day.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Welcome back, guys. Back at it again. They got some things going on at the bench right now. Everybody's back in, but the jury's not back in yet, I don't think. But they're just discussing more stuff here. Let me get this up here so you guys can see with your own two eyes as well. I don't know what the heck is going on. There's just been so much weirdness going on recently. But today of all days. But we're back at it. We're back at it again. Part 2. We got to see what's going on here, and see what the deal is. What's been going on with all this? I'm still trying to figure out what's going on here myself. There's been a lot of technical crap going on. It seems like. But anyway, it looks like they're going to be getting things started here very shortly. Jury's going to be coming in right about now, so we got to do our due diligence. So do me a favor, guys. Hello to every single one of y'all. Welcome back, and welcome everybody who is new coming in, watching this with me. Part 2. We got a lot to go through. So do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your name. Send it past 100 likes really quick as you guys start to file in. Good afternoon. Hopefully your lunch was really great. I got some lunch coming up here very shortly. Can't wait. Jury is about to walk in right now as we speak. All right. And we're going to be checking out, Mr. Banya and the rest of his deposition here. So, or his testimony or what have you. So anyway, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's jump right into it, shall we? Enjoy. And it looks like they're approaching again. It makes you wonder what the heck is going on here. What the problem is, baby. What is the problem? But I guess we're going to find out here very, very shortly. But anyway, as you guys start to walk in, hello. I might have to jump out of the shot here in a second to grab my lunch. But I'm looking forward to having you guys here with me. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go.
Before lunch, we were talking about your opinions in response to the testimony of Mr. Schnell. Did you also analyze the testimony of Ms. Arnold in this case?
Yes, I did.
And are you aware of her opinion that Ms. Heard's career would have followed the same trajectory as that of Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Zendaya, Ana de Armas, and Chris Pine, if not for the Waldman statements?
Yes.
What's your understanding of Ms. Arnold's basis for her opinion that Ms. Heard's career should have been similar to that of those identified actors?
Ms. Arnold stated that when producers or her industry is looking to hire talent and actors, that it's important to best understand the public's perception of the actors that they're considering, and that it's important you look into social media to see what is happening with the actors they're considering for either a movie or even an endorsement opportunity with companies. So that was her approach.
And is that the process she followed in providing her analysis of those purportedly comparable actors?
No. Although she stated that, she went in and brought in these alleged comparable actors, and without really reasoning behind that.
Did you conduct an analysis based on your expertise in social media and internet analytics of Ms. Heard compared to the actors to whom Ms. Arnold compares her?
I did.
And what did you find?
Well, since Ms. Arnold stated that the proper approach is looking at the public perspective, looking into social media, and she did not do that, I felt that was the best approach to do this based on her words. So yes, I did go into best understanding the public perspective of Ms. Heard and the alleged comparable actors using Q scores. Then I also went and did some analysis online and on social media as well.
Can you briefly remind the jury what Q scores are?
Yeah, again, Q scores measure how well a celebrity, it could be a cartoon character, it could be a sports person, how well they're known, how well they're liked, and how much they're disliked. And it's an industry standard tool that's used. It's not just focused on the movies that they're in, but it's focused on them as actors, but also what's happening in their personal lives come to play as well. So that's how Q scores are typically used.
Did you prepare a demonstrative that reflects the Q score analysis you completed?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach again? All right, thank you.
No objection to the demonstrative.
All right, we'll identify plaintiffs 1296 for identification and publish to the jury.
Mr. Banya, what point in time do these Q scores represent that are reflected on your demonstrative?
So these are the winter 2019 Q scores that are reflected here. And what was important for me is I wanted to find Q scores that represented Ms. Heard after Aquaman. And remember, Aquaman is December of 2018. These Q scores were gathered January and February of 19, but before the Waldman statements.
And what did you find based on the Q scores that you looked at?
So as you see here on the left are positive Q scores, and the higher the number, the better. As you can see, Ms. Godot has the highest Q score out of the group of actors here at a 28. But you're going to notice Ms. Heard has the lowest positive Q score. She has a 9.
Oh my God.
So I find that very interesting that she doesn't appear to fit in as a comparable with these alleged comparable actors. I think what's also interesting is the average Q score for all actors being scored at that time, which include all the alleged comparable actors here, score at an average of 17. And you can see, again, she is 9, well below that. And then on the right side, you're going to see the negative Q scores. So this is how much people dislike you. So the lower the score is better. You can see Mr. Momoa is over here with the lowest at an 8, but you can see Ms. Heard is over here at a 28, which was quite a difference. A 20-point difference from Mr. Momoa, and also a 10-point difference, from the average of all actors. So she is very, very much her positive score is very low, and her negative score is
very high,
which tells me that she does not fit in as a comparable as it relates to these alleged comparable actors.
What opinions did you form based on the Q
Yikes.
score analysis?
My opinions as it relates to these Q scores is, Miss Arnold used these actors as allegedly comparable actors. But really listening to her testimony yesterday, it appears that she's abandoned this approach. I don't think she's using these comparable actors or these alleged comparable actors anymore. She's more relying on her experience, and I agree with that.
Did Ms. Arnold offer a criticism of your use of the Q scores here?
She did, yes.
And what's your understanding what that criticism is?
Well, what I believe she was saying is that I should have ran Q scores for these allegedly comparable actors after each of their breakout films, which I disagree. First of all, Q-Scores doesn't work like that. Q-Scores are available twice a year. So it's not that I could pick a month or a different month for each of Q-Score actors. So I feel that, what was important for me, and this doesn't always happen when I'm using Q-Scores, you can get this perfect moment in time, as Miss Heard said, I'm sorry, but as Miss Arnold said, that, Aquaman was Miss Heard's breakout moment. So these scores reflect that breakout moment, and they're terrible Q-Scores.
How would your analysis change if you
Sounds
had
about
used
right.
Ms. Arnold's logic with respect to the timing of the Q-Scores that you looked at?
I mean, if you really think about what Miss Arnold was saying, is she's saying that she thinks Q-Scores are the highest for each actor right after their breakout moment. So I would think, if anything, these Q-Scores could have been a bit lower, because it's not right after their breakout moment. But what's important for me is the fact that these scores reflect, who Amber Heard was at the time before the Waldman statements, but after the Aquaman release.
We can take that one down, Tom. Thank you. What other work have you done in connection with forming your opinions in this case?
Again, taking the advice from Ms. Arnold, it's important. She says the industry looks into social media, what their followings are like, with the numbers as it relates to their followers. Again, what is the public perception of them? So I analyzed their social media accounts, but prior to the Waldman statement. So.
And how did you do that?
Yeah, so what I did, I don't know if you're all familiar with the archive.org. They have a tool called the Wayback Machine. What archive.org does is it archives the internet. So you can go back in time to see what websites and web pages used to look like in the past. Not all the time can you actually get a celebrity's social media accounts to have been archived, but we were fortunate that each of the alleged comparable actors' social media accounts were in archive.org. So I was able to go back in time prior to the Waldman statements to see what the following activity was for each of the alleged comparable actors.
Mr. Banya, did you prepare a demonstrative that reflects your social media analysis?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so Amber Heard just was getting no love, period. No love.
No objection to the demonstrative.
All right, we'll mark it for identification purposes. Plaintiffs 1297 and publish.
Mr. Banya, could you tell the jury what you found when you looked at the social media?
And so what I found, again, this is prior to the Waldman statements. First thing you're going to notice here is not all actors use social media. You're going to see Mr. Pine doesn't have Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and Momoa and DeArmas don't use Facebook or Twitter. But what's important to look at is you have Ms. Heard prior to the Waldman statements with 3.8 Instagram followers and 142,500 Twitter followers. And then you move down to Gal Gadot with 37 million Instagram followers compared to her 3.8 million, and 2.3 million Twitter followers compared to Ms. Heard's 142,000. And you can then even go down to Zendaya with 65.9 and 17.2 million Twitter followers. What this is telling me is really, more people are interested in Miss Gadot and Zendaya and even Mr. Momoa than Miss Heard on social media. It just tells me a lot. People are interested in these actors as opposed to Miss Heard, more of a following. Q scores, well-liked, less disliked. So it kind of fits into the analysis of determining whether or not these alleged comparable actors are actually comparable.
Based on your expertise, what are your overall opinions about Ms. Arnold's analysis of the so-called comparable actors?
Yes, again, it appears that she's abandoned this approach, and I agree with that. I feel that, through the Q-score analysis and the social media analysis, that they're just not comparable.
Tom, we can take that one down. Mr. Banya, based on all the analysis you did in this case, what are your overall opinions?
Yes, my overall opinions are that Mr. Schnell failed to prove any causal connection with the Waldman statements and the search or the hashtag activity, those spikes as it relates to Twitter. There's no causal connection there. My second opinion is, based on my social media and Q-score analysis, Miss Arnold's alleged comparable actors are not comparable. And then third, Miss Arnold and Mr. Schnell both failed to prove any causation as it relates to the Waldman statements causing economic harm to Miss Heard. So, as a damages expert, which Miss Arnold is, you need to take into consideration causation before you can calculate damages. You look at damages and you look at this allegedly damaging event, and not only do you have to prove that 100% of the damages because of these Waldman statements, she didn't even consider COVID. It happened at the same time. A lot of actors probably made a lot less money because of COVID. Maybe films didn't get made. And, when you do an analysis of damages, you prove causation, but you also have to look at everything else that might have caused this alleged economic harm. And she didn't look into any of that. She didn't even know what causation was. So I don't think damages is the appropriate approach in this case.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Mr. Banya.
Hi.
Yeah, you're not a damages expert, correct?
I am a damages expert, but not providing any quantitative damages opinions in this case.
In this case, okay. And is it your testimony that only if a person repeats the Waldman Depp statements could they be related to the defamation?
Say that one more time.
Are you saying that a person literally has to repeat the Waldman Depp statements in a tweet for them to be related to the defamation?
No, if you looked at my analysis, I did pick the 3 themes as it relates to the tweets, and I analyzed those themes, and I came up with 5 examples of when those themes were used.
And you ran searches for, quote, abuse hoax, sexual violence hoax, and fake sexual violence, and you ran all those in quotes, correct?
I did.
So only if a person used a tweet with those words in that order and with that spacing would they hit on your searches, correct?
Objection, compound.
Overruled.
Yeah, so I used them in quotes because, hoax could be used in many other contexts. So I wanted to make sure I was fitting my search with the theme of the Waldman statements.
So if someone tweeted misheard faked sexual violence, that wouldn't appear in your searches, correct? Faked with an ED.
It would not.
Okay. And if they use 2 spaces between abuse and hoax, that wouldn't fit in your search.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you? And a tweet can only be 280 characters, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So certain of the Waldman Depp statements, a person could not tweet the whole thing in one tweet, correct? The whole statement in one tweet.
The Waldman statements?
Correct.
No, you could not tweet those entire quotes.
Did you make any determination if there was an online bullying campaign against Mr. Depp after Ms. Heard's op-ed?
I didn't look into any online bullying campaign for Ms. Heard nor Mr. Depp.
Did you determine if there were tweets harassing Mr. Depp that quoted from Ms. Heard's op-ed?
No, my assignment was to determine if the Waldman statements were part of the tweets that Mr. Schnell provided. I was rebutting him.
And in your analysis of when you testified before, you never looked to see if the op-ed was quoted anywhere, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
This
All
lawyer's
right,
ridiculous.
questions withdrawn. Next question.
Okay. I was about to say,
Um,
what?
Now, you have no objection to Ms. Arnold's use of comparables, correct? Just the use of comparables in general.
Shoulder
listened
pads.
to her testimony and my understanding that she abandoned that approach. But as it relates to my testimony today, my opinion was related to those specific alleged comparable actors, that they were not comparable.
You're not offering an opinion as to who the appropriate comparables should be to Ms. Hurt, correct?
The talking
Correct.
heads want their jacket back.
And you testified just before about the Q scores
Shoulder
of Ms.
pads.
Hurd and the comparables. That was
This is not my beautiful wife.
Plaintiff's Exhibit 1296, correct?
Ah.
I don't know
Oh,
what
boy.
1296 means.
Okay. The demonstrative in front of you.
Mine? Yes, that's correct.
And you said that those were all for the winter of 2019?
I said Ms. Hurd's were from the winter of 2019.
Because isn't it true that none of the rest of these people were from the winter of 2019, correct?
That's correct.
In fact, Mr. Momoa's.
It's very hard to pull
The
off.
summer
Like this conversation is kind of,
2020.
to
That's
me,
correct.
it's,
Not all alleged comparable actors had Q scores for that date. What was important for me is get Ms. Hurd's Q scores right
Right.
after Aquaman, but before the Waldman statements.
and it
You weren't
shows that
comparing
nobody
apples to
likes
apples,
her.
correct?
I wouldn't say that. I'm saying that it's not the exact same years.
Exactly.
Well, so
Kiss, kiss.
in the winter of 2019, that Q score comes out, that the field work dates for that is from January 22nd, 2019 to February 7th, 2019, correct?
That is correct.
So that would be so the field work would be starting almost immediately after Aquaman just came out, correct?
Yeah, and her Star is Born moment, yes.
You'd agree that for the winter of
Star is
2020,
Born moment.
where you took Jason Momoa's Q score, would have more time to account for the rise in popularity of the film Aquaman, correct?
Well, actually, if I use Miss Arnold's suggestion, the celebrities tend to have, the celebrity moment right after they have their breakout film. So I disagree with that. I think maybe his Q scores could be lower as it relates to when I use them.
You'd agree that for the winter of 2020, Mr. Momoa's Q score would have more time to account for the rise in popularity of the film Aquaman.
I don't know if it accounts for the rise of popularity. Again, using Miss Arnold's words, usually a Q score will be the highest right after the film, like I did measure Miss Hurd.
All right. Do you show? All right. Thank you.
Funny story. I watched a little bit of Aquaman, and she's terrible in it. She's
you
not
look on
good.
page
I totally forgot how
177
bad she was.
Of your deposition
I
transcript.
just
You see
watched
that?
a little bit
I
during the
don't see
break.
pages that what you handed me.
You don't see page 177? At the 4 pages? 4 pages.
She's
per-
not good.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And I asked you at lines 6 through 10, you'd agree that for the winter of 2020, Jason Momoa's Q score would have more time to account for the rise of popularity in the film Aquaman, and you answered yes.
At that time, as I am a rebuttal expert to Ms. Arnold, based on her testimony, I've learned something new from her.
You didn't look at Ms. Hurd's Q score for summer of 2020, correct?
She doesn't have any.
And Ms. De Armas had a lower familiarity score than Ms. Hurd, correct?
If I don't have that in front of me, but if you're saying that, yes.
Okay. And Ms. De Armas's career trajectory has gone up since the summer of 2020, correct?
I don't know. I didn't analyze her career trajectory.
Okay. Could you put up plaintiff's trial exhibit 1297? That was the demonstrative. Ms. DeArmas has less Instagram followers than Ms. Heard, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Heard has more than double the Instagram followers of Ms. DeArmas, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And isn't it true that you get more social media followers the longer you're on social media?
Not necessarily. It doesn't work that way. It depends on many other factors.
So Ms. DeArmas had a lower familiarity score and less Instagram followers, yet your testimony is that she would not be a proper comparable to Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And you're not offering a different set of people who should be comparables, correct?
Jason
That's
Momoa is
correct.
not that great either. He's not. He's just, he's exotic
Now-
looking. He's exotic.
You understand that Mr. Waldman has been banned from Twitter for life for harassing Amber Heard, correct?
But he does a job in Aquaman.
I don't know that, but if that's the case,
And you understand that Mr. Waldman appealed the decision to Twitter
All right,
and
Dr.
they
Ed.
have confirmed his ban for life?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach on this one?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I mean, okay. This is all this. Now we're getting into the boring crap. I'm sorry. This is, to me, like boring. But hey, we're going into this BS and they're trying to understand how social media works, I guess. I don't know. They're searching for something. They're grasping at straws at this point.
You agree that in looking at Mr. Schnell's data, 65% of the uses of negative hashtags relating to Ms. Heard occurred between April 1st, 2020 and June 15th, 2021, correct?
correct.
And you would agree that 5 of the 6 highest spikes of the negative hashtags were after the Depp Waldman statements, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And where you talked about the February 2020 spike, and the 65%, by the way, even includes the February 2020 spike of tweets, correct?
That's correct. Well, there was no spike in Feb 2020 during the Waldman statements.
Well, the spike in February 2020 was before the Waldman statements, right?
That's a damn good question.
I would have,
Orange
can we
peel.
pull up the chart
I have
again if you
no
want to talk
idea.
about the spikes?
Sure. Can you put up 1294? Number one.
Number one. Yeah, that spike happened.
Yeah, he's just
before
got to
the
look,
Waldman statements.
And there was hardly any activity
He's got to look.
in negative
And
hashtags
people really like it.
until February 2020, correct?
That's correct.
And you understand that the spike in February 2020 was related to the partial tape that Mr. Waldman and Mr. Depp leaked to the Daily Mail, right?
I'm aware that the articles were related to Heard admitting to hitting Depp.
And you understand that Mr. Waldman testified that Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman met with the Daily Mail in person to provide the partial tape to the Daily Mail.
Objection, Your Honor.
And he talked about what
What's-
the number one related to.
What's the objection?
Sorry, lack of foundation and
I'm asking if he knows or he doesn't.
All right, we'll
So what's important to me is the fact that this spike is prior to the
Sir,
Waldman statements.
do you know if Mr. Waldman testified that Mr. Depp and he met with the Daily Mail in person to provide the partial tape
No,
in February of 2020? You don't know one way or the
it's
other.
irrelevant to my opinion.
Okay. And the spike in July of 2020 came right after the last defamatory statement by Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman, correct?
The July spike, which is number 2,
Not
is
related.
not related to the Waldman statements,
Exactly.
and there are articles related to abuse between Heard and Depp and feces found in Depp's bed.
And that's based on Google searches
Amber Turd.
you did?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And the July spike in time came after the June 27th, 2020 defamatory statement by Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And 5 of the 6 spikes came after the defamatory statements, correct?
After the Waldman statements, yes.
Okay. Now, you testified before
boy.
that you eliminated shares and likes of the Depp Waldman statements from your analysis, right?
Repeat that, please.
Did you say that you eliminated shares and likes of tweets that included the Depp-Waldman statements?
That's correct. When I was doing my analysis, I noticed the exact same text was a part of many of these tweets.
Don't shares and likes disseminate the negative information?
That's quite possible.
Okay. And you agree, right, that use of the term Waldman or Waldmanian occurred over 25% of the time in the negative tweets toward Ms. Heard from April 2020 through January 2021, correct?
Although it's irrelevant to this case, it has nothing to do with the Waldman statements. That's what Mr. Schnell says.
You don't disagree with you don't disagree
Soon
with
enough,
the search
Howie
results,
K.
correct?
Soon enough.
Although has nothing to do with this case or the Waldman statements, I do not disagree.
So if people are tweeting about Adam Waldman or Waldmanian at the same time as tweeting negative hashtags about Amber Heard, it's your testimony that they have nothing to do with this case?
The hashtags have nothing to do with this case.
That's what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And even if they include the negative hashtags with Mr. Waldman's name and Waldmanian, you're saying they have nothing to do with the defamatory statements?
All 4 hashtags that Snell used had nothing to do with the Waldman statements.
Yeah.
Waldman himself has nothing to do with the Waldman statements. We're talking about the Waldman statements here. Waldmanian, I don't even know what that is, but again, it has nothing to do with this case, and it's not related to the Waldman statements. That's
Thank
what's
you.
important.
And the reason you're saying they're not related to the Waldman statements is because someone didn't literally copy what Adam Waldman said in the Daily Mail and tweet it out?
Well, I looked at enough tweets that included the name Waldman that have nothing to do with anything negative or the Waldman statement.
No, they must have,
I mean,
have had to have the negative hashtags toward Ms. Heard, because the only way that those would have been in the data you looked at would have had the negative hashtags towards Ms. Heard. It was looking at that universe, correct?
Well, first of all, I don't agree that the justice for Johnny Depp is a negative hashtag towards Amber Heard. So listen, the assignment was to determine if the tweets that Mr. Schnell presented were related or included the Waldman statements.
In your review of the tweets related to Ms. Heard, you cannot point to any that were positive toward Ms. Heard, correct?
Again, I was not looking for that.
And you did not review the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp during the time frame from April 1st, 2020 to January 1st, 2020 to see if there were any that were not negative toward Ms. Heard.
I did not look into anything as it relates to anything other than what relates to the Waldman statements. That's what's at issue here today as we sit in court.
Okay. And you didn't form any statistical analysis to rule out the Waldman statements' impact on the hashtags, correct?
Correct.
You did not analyze whether media and press coverage other than the Waldman statements affected Ms. Heard's career, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Looking at
Mercy.
the exhibit that's in front of you, where you have the numbers here, those you said are related to Google searches?
The 1 through 6?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And can we put up plaintiffs 888? And we could just start at 1. Do you understand that your, okay. Oh, thanks. And 888, it's page 76. These are the documents you relied upon for your opinion today?
Yes.
And are
Good question,
these
live and
the
learn.
where it has the different letters, these are the searches
Yeah, where's Boo?
that you ran for the various time frames and the articles that came up for numbers 1 through 6, correct?
No, I mean, obviously document 1A is the Heard supplemental expert witness disclosure. These are documents that I used throughout the time I've been working on this project. So these aren't related to those 1 through 6 numbers.
Okay. These are documents you relied upon for your opinion today?
These are documents that I relied upon when I presented my designation.
For your opinion today, that you're offering today?
Yeah, these are the documents that, yes, I've relied on throughout this this case.
Okay. And actually, Michelle, could you turn in this designation to, let's see. Hold on one second. Can you just scroll down? Yeah, keep scrolling. Just keep going. Keep going. Okay, stop. This was the chart you provided with your designation for your opinions in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's similar to the chart that we had before with the 1 through 6, correct?
That's correct.
And where it has the various boxes, it's talking about documents 6E through 6H, for instance, related to Depp wanting to have Heard replaced on Aquaman.
Yes.
And you prepared this chart, correct?
Yeah, this was part of my designation.
I'd like to have this page as a demonstrative.
Your Honor, I do have an objection, if I might be heard.
All right, you want to come forward? Page 99.
Yeah, to me, this is them just grasping, like searching for something, grasping at straws. Yeah, I'm not for this personally, but it is what it is. He understood what he needed to do. He's been saying it over and over and over again. So now I feel like they're just digging. That's just me. Trying to find something, and they're trying to get him to slip up, I think. I think they're literally trying to get him to slip up. But it's trash, in my personal opinion. But I feel like they're wasting so much precious time. And maybe they're eating up time because they don't want the other depositions and the other testimonies, the live testimonies and the video depositions to be played on behalf of Johnny Depp. I don't know. It's just they're going over hashtags and tweets, for crying out loud. I feel like what's done was done earlier, with at least with Hamada coming out and saying, hey, there was no chemistry between the two actors at all. It was all fake. It was all manufactured in post. And I'm dead ass. I just watched about 15 minutes of Aquaman, just like the very beginning of it, where she was introduced as Mara and all that, or Mira, or whatever you want to call her. And I was like, wow, this is really bad. She's not good. She's not good. I forgot the movie. I forgot I haven't seen the movie in so long. So I rewatched it just to see what was up with the chemistry. It's not good. There's better actors out there. There's better acting out there. Even Jason Momoa is not that great. But he's Jason Momoa. Look at him. He's, the ladies like looking at him. And some of the fellas. I gotta be honest. I gotta keep it even. But he's exotic. He's got a very exotic look. He was born to play Aquaman. And maybe a Hell's Angel. You know what I mean? Like he will forever be the biker guy. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. What are you guys talking about? Oh, stop. Y'all are killing me. Stop. Stop. Let her do her thing. Don't throw me off. And I agree, Tamara. He's no rock, but people still like looking at him. Real talk.
Mr. Banya. Other than so as I understand it, the way you determined that the tweets were not related to the Waldman statements was that you looked at time and then you ran certain Google searches, correct?
Correct.
And then the top 3 hits came up.
I agree in Ocean Breeze.
Correct.
And then you looked through the article to see if the Waldman statements were there?
So as it relates to any trending event, any defamation that's happened online, any allegations of economic loss because something went viral, going to Google, looking at the spikes in time and going back in time to see what was happening on those top 3 sites will give you an indication of the best results that were being served at that time. So something viral that's happening would appear most likely in those top 3 results.
And just so the record's clear, if we could go back to page 76 of this document. Numbers 6A through
Hit that like button, y'all.
6N.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too.
Those are the headlines of the searches that you found?
Correct.
And you don't disagree that that negative tweets toward Ms. Heard have continued throughout the analysis of the tweets, correct?
I'm not looking at whether they're negative tweets or those hashtags are negative. I'm determining if those tweets are related to the Waldman statements.
Well, okay, and you have no opinion whether the tweets were positive or negative towards Ms. Heard. That's what you're saying?
Yes, I'm just analyzing whether or not they're related to the Waldman statements.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, redirect.
Make
I
it
have no
quick.
further questions of this witness, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Banya.
Bam. Okay, next. Come on.
Thank you.
Get through this BS. Let's go. Make it good, please. Make it somebody good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess for you at this point. Hopefully within 15 minutes, we'll get right back to you, okay?
What does she say?
Sorry, do not discuss the case and don't do any outside research. Sorry, we'll just take a
Who's
short
next?
break.
Camille spoke. I didn't hear anything she said. Hold on, I'm trying to find this.
All right, so just so that we're on the same page, you can have a seat.
Oh.
Keep standing the whole time. All right, just so
I
we're
think it's Morgan
on
Knight.
the same page with Mr. Knight's testimony.
Boom.
Actually, could Mr. Knight go back out,
Mr. Knight needs to go bye-bye.
please?
But this is another person that was there during the incident that happened at Hicksville. So the moment we've all been waiting for.
All right, all right.
Or one
So
of the
we're on the same
moments.
page with Mr. Knight's testimony. There is a rule on witnesses. However, Mr. Knight's a rebuttal witness. The purpose of excluding witnesses from the courtroom, usually it's a courtroom, is to deprive a later witness of the opportunity to shape testimony to correspond with that of an earlier witness. The issue we have here, obviously, if it was a direct witness in the direct testimony, you had time to do a rule on witnesses, let them know about the rule on witnesses. With a rebuttal witness, it's a little different.
Okay, speak on it.
Because they didn't know they were going to be a witness. You didn't know they were going to be a witness. I understand that part. The problem is the courtroom in this particular case appears to be the world. So what we have to do here is I'm going to do a voir dire, and I'll allow both sides to ask questions as well of Mr. Knight to see what he has seen of the case. And I'm just going to use the factors that the case law in Virginia uses, which the factors to consider, because the court does have broad discretion to permit or prohibit a witness to testify in this particular circumstance. So the factors I'm going to consider is if the impropriety was intentional, which we'll find out, the prejudice attached to it. Also, if the excluded witness learned about substantive aspects of the case from an earlier testifying witness, and whether that knowledge had any effect on his or her testimony. So those are the three factors I'm going to look at in weighing this decision. So keep that in mind when you do your voir dire. And it's my understanding that the evidence that Mr. Knight will testify only relates to Hicksville. Is that correct? Okay. All right. Now we can have Mr. Knight.
So nothing else, only Hicksville. They can't talk to him about anything else except Hicksville.
All right, sir. Mr. Knight, if you could come forward to be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case and penalty of law?
All right. Sir, if you could just have a seat, please.
No break or a break? I guess not.
Sir, what we're doing is I'm just going to ask you a few questions outside the presence of the jury. Then the attorneys are going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Oh, I see.
And I'm going to have you step back outside after that, okay?
No problem.
All right. What's your full name, sir?
Morgan Higby Knight,
Okay, you don't have to be that close. All right.
You know,
All right. How do you spell your last name?
Night.
Okay. All right. And sir, before I can allow you to testify, I just want to ask you a few questions. Have you seen any of the trial that's been going on for the past 6 weeks?
Approximately 5 weeks ago, a friend of mine texted me that Hicksville was mentioned, and I watched a little clip where
Okay.
it was mentioned.
Which clip did you watch?
I believe it was somebody testifying about, I think it was the security guard testifying maybe about Hicksville, or I forget exactly who was testifying, but it was something where Hicksville was mentioned, and it was about something about a wrist or something like that.
All right. And what did you do after that? At some point, did you get in contact with attorneys?
You
So
rolled-
I didn't reach out to them. I didn't really care.
Okay.
he rolled a
The
fat ass
innkeepers
J,
that
went
worked
to
at
sleep.
Hicksville before, reached out to them and said, we saw some stuff that wasn't true. And then they asked, is it okay if I give the attorneys your phone number? So the attorneys reached out to me
Okay. And when did the attorneys reach out to you?
May 3rd.
May 3rd. And you
Yeah.
talked to the attorneys at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Camille, but Geraldine.
Okay. And then have you seen any other parts of the trial?
No, she instructed me not to watch anything about it,
No.
regardless of if it was about Hicksville or not. So I've been
Since May
keeping
3rd.
off,
Exactly,
off the
Grace.
internet and turning off anything that seems to be like it's on social media. So I just don't watch any of that.
Okay. All right.
He lives in
Any
Hicksville.
questions?
They don't have internet.
So, Mr. Knight, you were contacted by an attorney for Mr. Depp on May 3rd,
Yes,
okay? And you said it was Carolyn?
The teeth.
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Oh,
The
Geraldine,
teeth.
I got it. Okay. And
I
what,
think it's pronounced Geraldine.
okay, can you tell us the conversation you had with her at that time?
Yeah, she just asked me my recollection of the evening, and I told her, and she said, okay, would you mind testifying? And I said, sure. And she said, okay, well then we're not sure if we're going to call you or not, but just in case, please don't watch anything having to do with the case. And I said, I will do.
Now, how is it that, to your best knowledge, how is it that Geraldine was able to get hold of you? How did she know that you knew something?
So, like I said, two of my innkeepers, my innkeeper and my manager, had reached out to her team, I think through email. And one of them texted me and said, hey, do you mind if we give Geraldine your phone number?
Now, you also communicated on Twitter, did you not, about this case?
Yeah, 2 weeks prior to Geraldine reaching out to me, someone had made a comment about something that happened by the fire pit. And I said, that's not my recollection. I didn't see, that's not what I saw.
So who was it that made a comment about something that happened at the fire pit?
So once I was told about
I think it's going to
the
be
fact
crucial.
that Hicksville was mentioned, I went and did a Twitter search of Hicksville trailer. So it was, I don't know who it was, but I was just like, what are they saying about Hicksville? And so that was why I did a search, just to see, because it was weird and fascinating, because the night to me wasn't that remarkable in the context of all the different experiences I've had at the Trailer Palace.
So explain to me, please,
Trailer
what you
Palace.
mean by you did a trailer search.
So if you go to Twitter and you put in keywords and do a search, all the tweets regarding that
Yeah.
subject come up.
You just had
or
a dude
anything with
on
those keywords in it. So
prior. Mr. Banya
that
was
is
on
how I found the tweet that I replied to.
to explain all this ish.
And how many tweets did you find that mentioned Hicksville when you did that trailer search?
Trailer
Probably like
Palace.
5 or 6. I only replied to one of them.
Okay. And
That's
what
a
do
new
you
one for me.
recall those tweets saying about Hicksville?
The one that I replied to said that there was some incident by the fire pit, and Johnny was yelling at Amber, and I replied that I didn't see that. I was there all night, and I was working that night, so I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah.
So your best recollection on that one was that somebody said
Please let him
somebody
say.
was testifying that Johnny was yelling at Amber?
Yeah, and I believe
Jesus.
grabbed her or something
Somebody needs
along
to
those
back him
lines.
off that mic.
Do you recall
Damn.
who said Johnny was yelling at Amber and grabbed her?
He says
I
there
have
was
no idea it was a stranger, so I didn't really pay attention to who was writing it.
All right.
He said there was
that
no
you
yelling.
Responded to it. How did you respond to it?
I said that's not what happened. I was there all night.
Let him testify.
Yeah, basically. I'm
That-
paraphrasing. It was a
Did
few
you
months ago.
say anything about what you thought happened?
I just said that didn't happen. I didn't say what. I believe I said maybe something along the lines of, from what I saw, Amber was the one acting jealous, not Johnny.
And you said this to one of the tweets.
Ooh.
Yes.
Do you recall
Amber
whether
was the
that
one
the
acting
umbrella man?
a little peanut
I
butter
don't
and
recall.
jealous.
It's a ridiculous name, though.
Okay, so tell me about the other 5 tweets that you recall seeing when you ran your trailer search.
I mean, are you going to
I
let
think
him
they were
go?
similar in nature, but I don't specifically remember the details of them. That was pretty much the only one I remembered, and that's the only one I replied to.
Do you remember anything about the other 5 and what was said?
What, if any?
No.
When you said that somebody told you about a security guard, what was your understanding of what the security guard said?
I got a text that
Psycho
somebody in
killer.
the trial had said that they were talking about Trailer Palace during the trial. And so that's what led me to go on Twitter and do a search.
And did you have any communications with the 2 innkeepers about what you knew or what you thought?
No, I hadn't talked to them in years, and
So-
still haven't regarding the case.
So how is it that the innkeepers then contacted you and said, do you mind if we give you the telephone number to the attorneys?
Because they still have me in their phone, and Christy, who was the manager at the time, is the one that texted me and said, hey, do you mind if we pass this along? Mr. Depp's attorneys want to talk to you.
Do you mind if we pass what along?
Your phone number.
Right, but how is it that, what is the
Jesus.
communication you had with the innkeepers that even led them to understand that you believed you had knowledge about the Hicksville incident?
There was no conversation. They knew because they were both working that same night. Jenna was the innkeeper, and she was there along with me that night. Christy was the one who texted me, and she had come in the following morning for her shift. And I slept over. I was live-in innkeeper that night.
So I'm trying to
Good idea,
understand.
Master
So
Owl.
just based on the fact that 7 years ago, they happened to know that you were working that night.
9 years ago, and it's because I was there
Okay.
with them.
My math, well, it's 2022 right now, and that was what year? Oh, that was
2013.
You're right. Okay. So how is it that out of the blue, they remembered 9 years ago that you worked there that night and that you might have some knowledge?
I mean, to be honest, like we do get celebrities sometimes, but it was, it's not that unmemorable. It's not like it's any other night of the week. So I'm sure they remembered the specifics of that night.
Already ahead of that.
Had Mr.
Brandy,
Depp's attorneys
working on it
ever
now.
attempted to contact you before?
No,
Had you ever attempted to contact Mr. Depp's attorneys before?
no, I had no interest.
She really
All right,
is
have
trying
you
to make
had
it seem
any
like he's full of
conversations with Mr.
full of
Depp's
lies.
attorneys other than the one you described with Geraldine?
Since,
Yes.
well, I met with Camille last night.
All right. And what was that conversation? Please describe.
I
Tell
just
the
went
truth.
through, the story again that I had told Geraldine.
Tell the truth.
And let's hear what that story was.
I mean,
You want me to go through
Yes.
the whole story?
Your Honor, we would object to.
that's
attorney work
ridiculous. Wait for the
There's no
freaking
attorney work product.
No, I'll overrule that.
All right.
objection.
what?
That's okay.
So we're gonna
Go ahead.
listen to it
ahead,
twice?
Yeah,
Please
sure.
continue.
That
Oh, boy.
I described like them getting to the trailer palace, me showing them around.
Thank you, Carrie.
The interactions I had
Welcome
when
to
I
the
was
family.
on duty with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard. How the evening progressed throughout the night, the levels of
No kidding.
drinking
Press
and
start.
drug use that I witnessed.
Wow.
The what the
Mac and
state
cheese.
of the damaged trailer the next morning.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Basically,
Thank you for the 45.
Yeah, the details
For
that
the
I
45.
I had only
Well, you ain't
spent
wrong.
total 45 minutes to an hour with
Thank you,
Mr.
Mac
Depp.
and cheese.
And misheard throughout the entire course of the night. So it was my recollection of those events during that time.
And what did
We appreciate you,
Ms.
Carrie.
Vasquez say to you?
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is beyond, we object on the
This
grounds
is
that it's beyond
ridiculous.
the scope of the voir dire.
No,
Which is
I
limited
think
to the
whatever
three
she said to
criteria.
him
But
is
may I
very
please finish
critical.
stating my objection, Your Honor?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
The objection is that it's beyond the scope of the voir dire. Your Honor enumerated the three criteria which are relevant here. And this is a rebuttal witness, so
Your Honor, whatever Ms. Vasquez shared with him is going to be very important here because they knew by this time he was going to be a witness. So,
Well, that was
What-
last night. So how
right.
does that fit into one of the three factors of deciding whether or not he's going to testify?
Well, one of the three factors, Your Honor, may I
Come on,
approach so
Judge.
that the witness
Come
doesn't-
on,
Okay, that's fine.
Judge. They're asking some ridiculous stuff. She's asking too many questions. Like, find out if this guy is credible, right? And if he's good enough for this rebuttal. And I don't know I don't know the term that they're saying, I don't know the word. But what they're doing right now, the moment that they're in right now, all they need to find out is if this person's credible for a witness or not,
Mr.
and keep
Knight,
it moving.
Did
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez
Master Hour, thank
provide
you.
you with any information?
Wasn't this limited to
that anyone
if
had
anything he
testified
read
to
or saw
or,
before
said
the
at any
being
point?
called as a rebuttal?
No,
Yes.
she didn't talk about anything except for asking me my experience and just getting a clear understanding of what my experience was. She didn't mention anything outside of the scope of what I saw and just asked me for the facts and told me
Thank you,
just tell the
Captain.
truth and let me know.
Oh, Captain,
you
my
know,
captain.
Do
Thank you, Captain
know what any of
Fandom.
the witnesses said?
Thank you for becoming a
in this
member.
trial?
Welcome to the family.
about, outside of what I described earlier with a friend of mine texting that someone was talking about Trailer Palace, I do not.
Do you know whether any of the witnesses testified about any jealousy?
Other than the tweet that I replied to, no.
Let it go.
All right. Thank you. Your Honor, may we approach?
All right. Well, do you have any questions?
Oh.
All right. Sir, if you could have a seat back outside the courtroom.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can I leave my water?
Yes, you can leave your water.
Yeah, be confident. You coming back. Don't worry about it. You still good. He probably has a crazy assortment of ska music, ska albums in his home, in his trailer palace. Doesn't he look like the kind of guy who just listens? That dude right here, Mr. Morgan Knight, doesn't he look like the kind of cat who just listens to nothing but ska music the entire time? He's just a hep cat. Yeah, yeah. I'm stupid. But anyway, guys, real talk, or that he's part of a really, really good bowling team. Just saying. But moving on, Morgan Knight, okay, is crucial here. He is going to basically demolish any of the claims that Amber Heard has said about what happened at the trailer palace. Apparently, it's a trailer palace at Hicksville. Okay, Hicksville is the moment where Johnny Depp trashed a trailer. Okay, one that he was staying in with Amber Heard, and also in the middle of that, he also went and tried to do a full cavity search on her, searching in her nether regions, trying to find a bag of booger sugar. Okay, she went into great detail, kind of, sort of, but she went into some graphic details about what happened to her in this trailer. But beforehand, there was some things. I guess they were singing "Kumbaya, my lord," and popping some mushrooms and pills around a campfire. I guess she got really cozy and really, ooey gooey with a girl that was there. And Johnny Depp, high on whatever the hell he was on, walked over, got mad, and was basically saying, "Get your hands off my woman. That's my girl." And then he went into the other room and lost his damn mind, allegedly, and unleashed the Kraken on Amber Heard because he was trying to find the blow. Yeah. That's literally what they said. Now, we've heard other stories. Whitney Heard, her sister, said she walked into the trailer. This is what I said. I picked it out. I was like, wait a second. Didn't she say this? We're catching Amber in a lie. She walked into the trailer and there was a mound of cocaine already on the table. And I'm sure she was like, okay. And she did her thing, right? So this doesn't make any sense. We're hearing, and then of course she said something about the girl putting her head on Amber's shoulder, and Johnny Depp getting upset and jealous and saying something about a wrist, which is what Amber said in her testimony, where Johnny Depp, I guess, got in the girl's face and said, "Do you know how much pressure it takes to break a human wrist?" Basically, in her mind, his way of saying, "I love her." No, I'm kidding. Just basically get your hands off my woman. Leave my woman alone. Okay? So this doesn't make any bloody sense, because all of this is starting to, those two stories aren't adding up. Same thing with Whitney and Amber's story they're telling of the night that Johnny Depp allegedly was going to push Whitney off down a flight of stairs. That story also is weird as hell. So Morgan is extremely crucial right now because he's a third party outside bystander that saw everything that went down. Now we heard a little snippet of it. He said Amber was the one losing her damn mind. It was not Johnny. It was the other way around. So there's stories that he knows that we need in this room, because it still shows that this woman is not, her character is terrible, and that she is a full-blown pathological liar. So hopefully they bring him on. Hopefully they make a decision here quickly so we can get it moving, because there's still a gang of people left over to be in this trial. We still have, allegedly, we have Morgan Knight on right now. We already had Banya. We still have Jennifer Howell. And
All right.
Dr. Collins
So based
and
on weighing the
Candy
factors, I'm
Davison
willing to allow
Goldburn.
Mr.
Braun.
Knight to testify. We'll
Damn
get
right.
Mr. Knight back in.
Damn right. Gang, gang.
And if I knew you were going to do a
This is
sidebar, I
about to
wouldn't
get
have made him
lit.
leave.
This is about to get lit, y'all. I mean, shout out to the judge, okay? Shout out to the judge. All right.
Sorry, sir, if you could just stay up, you could just stay there. while we
Kate
get the
Moss will
jury,
be
okay?
on
Are we
tomorrow.
ready for the jury?
Kate Moss will be on tomorrow, Debbie, just so
Okay.
you know.
Thank you.
Do they have to stand for the jury when they come back in? Yes, no, maybe? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was every time they walk
Just we're
in.
going to swear him in again in front of the jury, okay?
Show some respect, you know what I'm saying? Dang. Stand up. They've been going through hell. They've been watching this circus for 6 weeks, dag nabbit. Yeah, Sandra. Yeah, I was like, okay, if he's leaving his water bottle, she gonna let him come through, cause she wants to know the truth too. She wants to know. Like I said, Amber Heard has been straight up lying, but you see how she's standing though. Look at how she's standing. She is terrified. This woman's terrified right here, because the truth is gonna come out, and the truth hopefully shall set Johnny Depp free. Hopefully.
All right. You be seated.
As long as
All right,
it's...
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the interruption. You're going to notice as we get closer to the end of the testimony, you're probably going to have some more interruptions, and I apologize for that. But there's just some matters we have to take up outside your presence. Okay?
It's all good, baby.
Thank you.
It's
Your
all
next witness.
good.
All right. Mr.
Do your
Knight,
due
would you come forward to be
diligence.
sworn?
She's nervous. Amber Heard nervous. I don't
Do
care.
you solemnly swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case or penalty of law?
She is. Thank you, Sandy, the sassy queen. Yeah, she isn't. She is a former Marine. Yeah. So shout out to this woman. She a beast. She don't play. She don't play, y'all. She don't play.
Good afternoon, Mr. Knight.
Let's
Good
go.
afternoon, Camille.
Would you please state your full name for the record?
Morgan Higby Knight.
Of course, his
Mr.
middle
Knight,
name's Higby.
Where are you from?
I live in Los
Okay.
Angeles, California.
I'm
And
done.
what do you do for a living?
So I currently own and run Hicksville Pines Bud and Breakfast in Idlewild, California. And I created and ran Hicksville Trailer Palace in Joshua Tree, California, starting in 2009.
Bud and breakfast.
And how
Told
is
you.
Hicksville Pines Bud and Breakfast different from Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So Hicksville Pines Bud and Breakfast is up in the mountains of Idlewild, which is a beautiful like snow town above Palm Springs. And all the units are A-frames instead of trailers, which we have. It's obviously a very different climate than Joshua Tree, which is a desert area. The rooms, which are themed at both places, are trailers, vintage trailers from the 50s through the 70s at Hicksville Trailer Palace. So there's also different kind of amenities. There's a pool in Joshua Tree. There's a rec room up at Hicksville Pines.
When
Yeah.
did you first become the owner of the Trailer Palace?
Trailer Palace, I started building it in 2009. It took about a year with my collaborator, Stephen Butcher, and on the trailers. And we got done and opened in 2010.
Be right back.
Did there come a time that you sold the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Yeah, I did at the beginning of 2020. I had some health issues and just it was too much to run both at the same time. So I chose Idlewild because it was newer and shinier.
And just for my sake, how long did you own the Trailer Palace?
So 10 years of us being open, 11 years total.
And what was the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So it started out as a artist retreat. I was a filmmaker at the time and wanted a place to get away and work on film projects outside of Los Angeles. I also put in a recording studio so musicians could record records there. I had lived in New Orleans for 5 years, and there's an amazing recording studio there called Kingsway, where all the musicians would come and they'd live in this big mansion and record their records. And I just thought that was a really neat thing for artists to be able to get away and create create whatever they were working on. Over the course of the build out of all the trailers, themed trailers, which I'm a huge fan of this hotel called Madonna Inn. And so I wanted to do really detailed themed trailers. It became too expensive to just make a living off of an artist retreat. So I decided before I was done to make it a hotel as well.
And what were your job responsibilities, generally speaking, when you owned the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So I would be live-in manager some nights, a couple nights a week. I would also drive out from Los Angeles twice a week and bring supplies that you can't get out in the Yucca Valley area and Joshua Tree. There's just a lot of things like, Smart and Finals, Costco's and stuff. So I would drive that stuff out. There's also no USPS. So sometimes I'd have to get things shipped to my house and drive them out as well. I would also just do constantly building and creating new stuff at Trailer Palace, whether it's new trailers or amenities. So I would be working on that stuff as well. I'm a big fan of the fact that Disneyland is always making it better and better.
And when you were the live-in manager, does that mean that you spent the night at the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Yeah, we have a house on site where the recording studio was, and there's a bedroom in there. So whoever is live-in manager those nights stays in the house and basically lives there. There's a kitchen and everything.
Have you ever met the plaintiff in this case, Mr. Depp?
I had met him really briefly at the Viper Room in the late 90s. I had worked with some of the people that performed there and was good friends with Squirrel Robin from the Pussycat Dolls and some other friends in this band, The Imposters. So I was there and I met him once.
How about Miss Heard? Ever met her?
I had never met her before. They were guests at the hotel.
When was the first time that you met Mr. Depp and Miss Heard together?
In late May 2013, when they were guests, Mr. Depp's assistant Nathan had rented out the entire place so they could have a night there in privacy.
What do you recall, if anything, about Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's arrival to the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Mr. Depp got lost. His security guard who arrived early asked me if I could go fetch them because he had an old car that didn't really fare on the dirt roads out there, which are pretty horrible. So I went out and made sure that they got themselves and the car back to Hicksville safely.
Do you remember approximately at what time that was?
It was 3 to 4 in the afternoon.
What was Mr. Depp's demeanor when they first arrived?
At Trailer Palace, he was super excited about the place, really complimentary, just had a lot of questions and seemed like he was in a really great mood.
And how about Miss Heard's demeanor? Anything stick out?
She was pretty quiet. She just kind of didn't say that much when I was giving them the tour of the grounds and the trailer.
And was anyone else with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard when they first arrived?
There's people that are arriving throughout the afternoon. So there was, I think 10 to 12 people total ended up staying. The security guard had gotten there earlier and just to check out the place. But yeah.
And did I understand your testimony previously that the entire trailer park was rented out by Mr. Depp and Miss Heard?
Yeah, the whole place slept, I believe at the time, about 25 people, but there was only 10 to 12 in this party.
And who was part of that party besides Mr. Depp and Miss Heard?
I'm really horrible with names, but I remember one of them was Miss Heard's sister and the security guard I mentioned before, but I honestly forgot his name too.
What happened when Mr. Depp and Miss Heard first came onto the property?
So I gave them a tour of, we give all guests a tour of their specific trailer and the grounds and show them around the, when someone rents the whole place, they get another trailer called the bar trailer, which is basically a place to set up their alcohol and stuff. And some people in the group were just putting their beverages in that area.
And where were you when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, did there come a time when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard went to the bar trailer?
I didn't notice most of the time that my interactions with them, everything's kind of centrally located. So there's a fire pit, bar trailer, and picnic tables all right in the same area. So they were generally around that area the entire evening that I saw them.
And what did you observe of Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard as the evening progressed?
So Mr. Depp was just super curious and really nice. He was also really interested in my innkeeper because she was a musician, so they would talk about music a lot. At one point, the innkeeper who lived at the next door property went home and grabbed her guitar, and they had sung a song or two around the campfire.
Yeah, kumbaya, my lord.
In the early evening. There's another instance where Mr. Depp, the innkeeper, her name is Jenna, and myself were talking about books and music, and Ms. Heard came over and kind of interjected. She seemed a little annoyed that Mr. Depp wasn't spending time with her.
What about Ms. Heard's demeanor made you think that she was annoyed?
I think just generally she, it's hard. Like I think, I don't know. It was just like a gut reaction. Like I can't describe it, but you know.
How long were you with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard that evening, generally?
So throughout the course of the evening, I was probably mostly with Mr. Depp, but 45 minutes to an hour total. So it was, that's over the whole course until the end of the night after the check-in.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to observe Mr. Depp interact with other people, guests of the property that evening?
Look at her. She's so terrified.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hanging out with the security guard at one point, and outside of the time that him and Jenna were singing around the campfire, he was off by himself a lot of the time, and Ms. Heard was over at the campfire with her friends and seemed to have a good time.
And if you haven't already, can you generally describe for the jury your observations of Ms. Heard that evening?
She seemed to be having a really nice time with her friends around the campfire. And everyone was in a pretty good mood.
Did there come a time in the evening that you observed Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard have a disagreement or an argument?
Yes. I was speaking with Mr. Depp, just one-on-one, talking about Hicksville, and Ms. Heard came over and she said that I want to talk to you, and seemed really upset about something. So I went and back in the house because it was really, they went off on their own, and she started yelling at him, and I didn't want to hear it. It honestly was really triggering because I've been in an emotionally abusive relationship before.
Objections. Move to strike.
What's the objection?
You're up. We reproach.
Okay, sure.
What? Man, he telling the truth. Why you tripping? Motion to strike. Get out of here. He's doing what he needs to do. Angela Mitchell, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I bet she never thought anyone would rebut her story. Thank you. And I love it too. This is everything I expected it to be and more, y'all. Come on now. She's the one who's getting into a jealous rage, at least in his perspective, his story. This is amazing. Okay? This is amazing.
Mr. Knight, will
yeah,
you
he
please
probably
just
listens to
explain for us
Headbanger
what you
music too.
observed when you saw Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard having an argument?
Yes. So Ms. Heard asked him to go talk off to the side, and she was upset at him and she was yelling at him. And I personally had then ended up-
Objection.
All right, I'll sustain the
respond.
objection.
Okay.
If you could just explain to the jury what you observed when you saw Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard having an argument.
Okay. He was kind of cowering and seemed almost afraid, and it was really like odd to see because he was older than her, obviously. So, but I just went back in the house because I didn't want to.
Objection to what he did.
All right, I'll sustain as to.
That's fair.
So after you observed the argument, fair to say you went back to to your house on site?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
What happened after that?
So when I saw Mr. Depp on my next rounds, he apologized profusely and said, "I'm really sorry about that." She was upset. because-
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustain. Next question.
What, if any, type of reaction did Mr. Depp have?
He was just really.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. He's going to say it again.
It's the reaction, it's not the statement.
All right, if you could make that clear, that's
Yeah,
fine.
just what type of physical reaction did Mr. Depp have after the argument between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
He honestly, throughout the rest of the night, became a lot more quiet and was just very more petulant. In the beginning of the night, he was a lot more outgoing and extroverted, and throughout, as the course of the night went on, he was less and less so and more quiet.
Did you observe any of the guests consuming alcohol while on the property?
I assume they were. I mean, people had cups and there was alcohol set up in the bar trailer, but I didn't physically see them pour alcohol into their cup and cup go into the mouth per se.
Did you witness Mr. Depp drink any alcohol that evening?
I couldn't say.
Anything about Mr. Depp's demeanor that made you think he was perhaps intoxicated?
Yes, as the night went on, I am a former bar owner, so even though I wasn't drinking that night, I'm very familiar with the signs. So just as the night went on, like I said, he became more and more quiet, but he also, as we would have conversations, his head would kind of sway a little bit back and forth, which was a little, he was much less sharp than he was earlier in the night.
Did Ms. Heard appear intoxicated to you?
She did. She seemed, I think when she was angry at him, it seemed like she was intoxicated, but that's just based on my experience and my own personal trauma dealing with abuse.
Objection, Your Honor, move to strike.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. We'll strike it from the record. Please disregard that testimony.
Did you observe anyone do or take drugs?
I did not.
Did you witness Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard interact other than the argument that you previously described for the jury?
At the end of the night, I heard a commotion. I was inside the house and came out. I couldn't tell what was going on. And Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were having a discussion about I'm not sure what, but then they went to their trailer. At that point, a lot of people had already gone to bed. So it just kind of petered out. Everyone went to bed, including myself, and I didn't hear anything else the rest of the night.
What time did the evening come to an end?
I'd say it was almost around 3 a.m.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp grab anyone?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp become physical with anyone?
Objection, leading.
Sustained. Next question.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp get angry that evening?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
What, if anything, happened the next morning?
The
If
next
anything.
morning, we have checkout at noon at the time before COVID. And so around 11 o'clock, one of my innkeepers let me know that there was some damage.
Objection, hearsay.
Did something happen that caused you to go to Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's trailer?
Yes, I was informed that.
Objection, hearsay.
It's not being offered for the truth, Your Honor. I mean, may we approach on this one
Okay,
topic?
sure.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys. Well. This is going to be a little difficult because she's trying to get to the place of the the inside of the trailer the very next day. And she, Elaine's going to do everything she can to make it difficult, of course. But they need to get to the root of the issue. That's why he's here. You know what I mean?
What, if anything, happened next morning?
What, if anything? Now she's turned into Elaine.
Innkeepers let me know that there was some damage in one of the trailers, and it happened to be Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's trailer. So I wanted to inspect the trailer because I was extremely worried. All those trailers that Steve and I worked on were like my babies, and the one they were staying in was the only one that was mostly original and restored 1950s style. And so I was very concerned.
So what did you observe when you went to the trailer?
I observed that there was a light sconce by the bathroom in the bedroom that had been broken off the wall, and a couple pieces were on the floor, and they were, it was basically just broken. The light fixture was hanging on the wall still, and except for the pieces that were on the floor.
Did you come to understand how that happened?
Objection, foundation, and
All right,
light.
foundation, I'll sustain as to foundation, how he knew.
Did you ask how the sconce was broken?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
It's going to be tough.
How often do light fixtures in the trailers break?
Fair enough.
They break pretty
Thank you, LaRue.
often. I mean, it's not like a
Delicious.
usual thing, but things in the trailers generally get broken because it's all vintage trailers. And I would say as much as every couple weeks, there's some incident of damage in one of the trailers. In this case, Mr. Depp had told me that.
Objection,
Sustain the
hearsay.
objection.
So anyway, yes.
Beyond the light fixture, was anything else in the trailer damaged?
No, everything else looks fine. In fact, we have something we call a piggy fee that we address to guests, that if there's anything, what we call inconsiderate or unusually large messes, we charge them extra for it for a $25 an hour cleaning fee. But they did not receive one of those because everything outside of the light fixture looks fine.
Wow.
And what was your reaction to seeing the damaged light fixture?
To be honest, I was relieved because it was not a big deal. There was already another light in the room. So I just tucked the wires in the wall until I had a few months later time to buy, it was matching sconce with another one in the room. So I had to, on eBay, find a matching pair that would fit there.
Wow.
And when I finally got around to it, I was able to get that and charge it to Nathan, whose
One
credit card I
broken
had.
light?
And what
Are
was
you
your
kidding me,
understanding of
y'all?
who Nathan was?
Mr. Depp's assistant.
Wow.
And what did you charge Nathan or Mr. Depp for replacing that pair of light
$32.
fixtures?
The pair came out to $62.
$62. Blammo. So what the hell is she talking about, man? Man, this girl cap.
While you were on site,
This girl
Mr.
cap.
Knight, did you ever wear a mesh shirt?
No, I would absolutely never wear that.
At any time during
a
Mr.
mesh
Depp and Ms.
shirt,
Heard's stay
yes.
on the property, did you see Mr. Depp become physical with anyone?
I did not.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. That's
I'm sorry, that answer was
I never saw Mr. Depp get physical with anyone when I saw him.
thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
cross-examination.
Thank you,
This
Your Honor.
girl, now she's flirting with the lawyer. Maybe she can get a free meal tonight.
Mr. Knight, you are a pretty big fan of Johnny Depp, aren't
Oh,
you?
get out of here.
I am not. To be honest, throughout the evening,
Sorry, I just asked you one question.
Oh, I
didn't ask you
apologize.
the rest of that.
I-
You
Oh,
wanted to
damn.
participate in this trial, didn't you?
I did not. I
You
was
knew-
asked by the attorney, and I wanted to, they asked me, and I said, I'll be happy to come and tell the truth.
You knew this was on camera, that it was being broadcast to a lot of people, and you saw testimony, did you not, in this case? And you seized the
What?
moment and responded to the umbrella guy the lead person for Mr. Depp's
Man,
Twitters.
again.
Did you not?
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh my
Argumentative
God.
compound.
Shout out to Tug, y'all.
Mr. Umbrella Guy is the lead.
You know that he leads one of the most predominant pro-Depp Twitters out there.
I have no idea.
This is incredible.
Don't care or follow the Umbrella Guy.
In fact, you do follow a Twitter called Johnny Depp Fan, don't you?
Absolutely not.
You don't? That's your
No.
testimony under oath?
It is my testimony under oath.
All right. And on April 21st, Mr. Depp testified in this case about Hicksville, didn't he?
I wasn't here.
And in fact, you tweeted in response to the Umbrella Guy on April 21, 22, quote, "That never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the one acting all jealous and crazy." Do you
Yes,
recall writing that?
I do recall writing that.
Michelle, can
Well-
you bring that up, please? We're going to call it Defendants 1903.
1903.
And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to redact.
That's hilarious,
given
y'all.
The Umbrella Guy
That's hilarious.
and the date.
That Umbrella Guy is about to be a
and the bringing
superstar.
in the
Watch
Hicksville. Your Honor, I'm sorry.
that certain Aquaman starlet. Fun times. Fun times indeed. Yep. This is hilarious, y'all. So now they're trying to flip the script and trying to make it seem like he's a fan of
While
Johnny
she's
Depp.
working on that.
Like he's
Did you write and direct a piece called Matters of Consequence back in 1999?
oh my God.
I did.
What?
And didn't Mr. Depp's first wife, Lorianne Allison, work as a makeup artist on that?
She absolutely did.
Uh-oh.
And while we're looking at that, 4 days after you tweeted to Umbrella Man,
Oh crap.
I was Umbrella Guy.
the Umbrella Guy. Okay. Well, all right, now we have this up. I'm going to ask
Amber's
you to
excited
take a look
'cause
what
she
is
thinks that-
Defendant's Exhibit 1903. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay, and that's from that Umbrella Guy on 4/21/22, correct?
Correct.
And it says bringing in the Hicksville incident accusations. Do you see that?
I do.
Can we
And
see it
there's
too?
Clearly, Mr. Depp testifying
no.
there, likely a video, right?
Okay.
And you respond, that never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the one acting all jealous and crazy. Do you see that?
I do.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of defendants 1903.
Any objection?
Yeah, Your Honor, we believe the first part of the that Umbrella Guy's tweet should be
Wow.
unredacted for
Read it.
context.
Oh,
I have no idea what I was replying to.
It's hearsay. It's rank hearsay, and the context
Your
is
Honor.
not necessary.
your own approach.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's see it then. Show us the Carfax, baby. If you're gonna put out Tug like that, come on now. If you're gonna put out that Umbrella Guy out there like that, come on now. If he really did send a tweet out like that and said that, come on now. Now I want to see it for myself. Now I really want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, I don't even know where that tweet is, but man, I'm telling you,
All right. Can make
wow,
that redaction.
that's some wild
With
stuff,
that redaction,
y'all.
any objection?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, 1903 will be in evidence with as redacted.
Okay, I guess it's, but here it is though. If he responded in a tweet one time a long time ago and said, "Hey, this is not what happened," that still does not make it. That still does not say that he's not a credible witness. Now, if he was like making movies about Johnny Depp and saying that he wanted to
Now,
wear his
so
skin
you
on his face,
reached out to the
then there would be a
Umbrella
big
Guy
problem.
in this text, the Twitter, right?
I wouldn't call it reaching out.
And in
There
fact,
it is.
the umbrella guy is in Mr. Adam Waldman. Do you know who Adam Waldman is?
I have no idea.
Well, he's testified earlier that he talks to the umbrella guy.
Did he what? He talks to the umbrella guy?
Yeah, were you aware of that?
Wow.
I honestly, this sounds like
I would
schizophrenia.
kill.
Okay.
I would kill
Now,
to get
4
the
days
umbrella guy on the
after
show to talk about this right
this
here. Somebody who's a fan of
event where
his
you
or
texted
can connect me with him,
Robinson, okay, good.
please,
4 days
please make it
after
happen.
that,
Oh my
you-
God.
tweeted something pretty nasty about Elon Musk, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, thank you. So you don't like Elon Musk, right?
Objection
Well-
relevance.
Oh,
I don't know Elon Musk.
overruled. Thank you.
So that was the context of that is that he
I
had,
didn't ask you for the context.
I apologize.
Okay. But you texted something that had swear words in it. Would you agree about Elon Musk?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about your recollections here. 45 minutes to an hour. Your recollection is that Mr. Depp actually drove there?
Yes.
What type of car was he driving?
An old one that was a convertible.
An old convertible?
I'm not a car guy, so I couldn't express the.
All right. And your recollection was this was May of 2013?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall when in May?
Late May.
Okay. Now, you said
This is
that you
wild.
spent a total of 45 minutes to an hour with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Is that correct?
After mostly Mr. Depp, but that's after the tour and after they were checked in throughout the course of the night.
Okay. And you don't recall any of the people that were there other than Ms. Heard's sister and the security guard, correct?
I don't recall any of their names.
Do you remember how many of them were female?
I believe it was predominantly female.
Do you remember how many males were there?
This is insane.
I don't, outside of the security guard.
Do you remember what any of the other people looked like?
They honestly just seem like youngish hipsters, like for lack of a better term. I know that previously a couple of them had stayed at Hicksville Trailer Palace. That's how they knew about the place.
Okay. So you don't recall seeing how much anybody had to drink that night, correct?
I did not witness that.
And do you recall the use of drugs at all?
I did not witness that.
Okay. Were you sitting at any point with these people at the campfire?
I was not.
And when you said that you saw Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp, and Ms. Heard was yelling at Mr. Depp, where were they?
She pulled him for a chat, and it was off towards their trailer, like a little bit off towards the dirt.
How many feet were there between the campfire and their trailer?
The campfire and their trailer?
Yes.
Approximately 75.
Okay. So where in that 75 feet did Ms. Heard pull Mr. Depp and yell at him and he cowered?
20.
Okay.
Kathleen, what
20
is
From the
she, what is
campfire.
Tug
From the
saying?
campfire.
Yeah.
So your testimony is that Ms. Heard grabbed Mr.
What's the
Heard,
umbrella guy
pulled him
saying?
20 feet over, yelled at him and he cowered.
Yes, that's what I witnessed.
And then did they go back?
I went inside the house.
So you don't know whether they returned to the campfire or they returned to their trailer.
I do not.
Okay. And do you know whether there were any disagreements or physical communications, anything of that nature at the campfire?
I do not.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp did anything to anybody else at the campfire?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Do you know whether Mr. Depp grabbed anybody's wrist and asked them if they knew how many pounds of pressure it took to break their wrists?
I wasn't there the whole time.
Okay. Is it your testimony that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard went last to their trailer? Everybody else went before them?
The rest of the people, I think about half of them had already gone to bed, and it was all around the same time at the end of the night that the rest kind of scattered There might have been a couple of people that went right after them or right before, but it was all around the same time.
Okay, so your recollection is that when Amber and Johnny Depp went back to their trailer, that dissipated, everybody then left at that point?
Yes.
Okay, now, how far away was your house that you were staying in from the trailer that Amber and Johnny Depp were staying in?
I'd say it was about 75 feet away.
Okay. And the next time that you saw or heard anything was when you went there in the morning and saw the broken sconce. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I didn't hear anything after went to bed.
Okay. And that's the extent of your knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
All right, redirect.
Wow. They're really trying to, interesting. This is
Mr. Knight,
interesting.
how did you get involved in this trial?
I got a text from one of our old employees who I didn't talk to for
Objection,
years.
hearsay.
Don't tell us what the text said, just how did you
Okay.
get involved?
I got a text from, I got a,
That's still hearsay. You're under
Okay.
objection.
Thank you, Tamara. I
Overruled.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Go on, Mr. Knight.
I was asked
No.
if it was,
No.
I'll sustain
Objection,
that.
hearsay.
apologize.
What did you,
I got a
what
text,
did you receive a text? Okay.
yes,
From
And-
whom?
from a former employee.
Oh my God.
And how long had it been since you had heard from
That's
this
very
former
true, Lady
employee?
Justice.
Approximately 5 years.
And did you contact Mr. Depp or any of his attorneys?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
I did not.
How did you get in touch with Mr. Depp's attorneys?
They got in touch with me.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Go on, Mr. Knight.
They reached out to me.
Okay.
It's okay.
I don't have an objection right now.
I think.
Only if he talks more.
Next question.
Jeez.
And how do you feel about participating in this trial?
Objection, relevance.
It's extremely relevant considering that they have accused him of being,
Overruled.
thank you.
This is hilarious.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
I'm happy to tell what I saw, and that's the extent of it. I really don't care outside of that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knight. Nothing
All
further.
right. I assume this witness is not subject to recall. Is that correct? All right. Sir, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, buddy.
All right. Your next witness.
Good job, Morgan Knight.
Or is it going to be a deposition or is it?
Oh, please.
Apologies, Your Honor. Thank you. Dr. Shaw.
Okay.
Plaintiff
Dr.
calls
Shaw?
Dr. Shaw.
Okay.
Dr. Shaw. Hold up. Dr. Shaw. Which one is Dr. Shaw? I don't remember a Dr. Shaw on the list, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm over. Oh, Dr. Richard Shaw. Richard.
solemnly swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case or penalty of law.
Richard out here, Richard Shaw, we don't know what he does. It doesn't say anything on the list, but he's live, so this will be entertaining. This will be entertaining.
Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Dr. Shaw. Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Richard John Shaw.
Richard John Shaw.
Dr. Shaw, can you please describe your educational
Follow
background?
me on Twitter, please, guys.
I'm a psychiatrist.
The Pascal Show, one
I
word.
went to medical school.
Yeah, Grace, he
at the
did
University
good.
of London.
He did good. He handled himself
I went straight off
like
to
a
high school.
G.
That's actually the system in the.
It's probably
British
the
medical
edibles were
system.
kicking in at that time, but he did
I
a great
2
job.
years
Real
of
talk.
preclinical training, and then 3 years of
3 years.
clinical work with patients. Following that, I moved to New Zealand to do an internship.
Internship.
It was an internship in neurology, medicine, surgery, and psychiatry. I spent 3 years in New Zealand, and I did a year of psychiatry residency training. Excuse me.
Ow. My ears.
And
My ears. Yes, follow me on Twitter real quick. The Pascal Show, one word. Follow me on TikTok and
Following that,
Instagram as well. The Pascal,
excuse me.
ouch. The Pascal
Following
Show,
that,
one word.
I moved here to the United States for the first time and did a residency in adult
Hamburger.
psychiatry at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, which is in New York.
Dr. Dick Shaw.
That was 4 years of training in the Bronx. And I also did some subspecialty
Lovely
training
accent,
in,
by the way.
family therapy, couples and family therapy as in my 4th year. And after that, I moved to California, and I've worked at Stanford. I studied at Stanford. I did a fellowship in child and adolescent
Thank you, Sandy.
psychiatry.
Thank you,
and I've been at
Sandy.
Stanford pretty
Sassy
much
Queen.
since
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully I can get him on sometime. I'd
Dr.
love to
Shaw,
pick
what is
his
your
brain.
current position?
He's been
I'm a
doing,
professor
Tug's
of
been doing an
psychiatry in the
amazing
Department
thing.
of Psychiatry at Stanford. I also run what's called the Psychiatry Consult Service at the Children's Hospital at Stanford.
What, if any, professional certifications have you received?
I have what's called board certification in adult and general psychiatry. I obtained that from the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology in 1991. And then I obtained subspecialty board certification in child and adolescent psychiatry in 1993.
Are you a member of any professional organizations in the field of psychiatry?
Yes, I am. I'm a member of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. I'm also a member of the Academy of Consultation Liaison Psychiatry.
How long have you been practicing psychiatry?
If you include my training in psychiatry residency in the US, that would be since 1985.
Is that approximately 35 years?
Yeah, I think so.
What percentage of your practice involves treating patients?
Yeah, approximately 3/4 of my time is working with patients. I work in the pediatric hospital, treating a combination of mainly children and adolescents with severe medical conditions, but also working with parents of children who have severe medical conditions. I also consult to the pediatric emergency room, and we evaluate patients who show up with suicide attempts and other serious situations.
What does the remaining quarter of your practice entail?
Well, as a professor, I have to do a number of academic activities. So I do research, I do a lot of teaching, I give lectures, I supervise residents, medical students, and fellows in psychiatry. I do some administrative work. Yeah, so it's a pretty diverse, varied day and week.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about your research and academic work?
Yeah, a lot of my research has involved looking at the issue of trauma and PTSD in parents who have medically fragile children. A lot of these parents are naturally really affected by their child's illness and develop trauma symptoms. So I've developed some interventions to try to help parents, provide support and treatment to reduce their symptoms of trauma.
Have you published articles or books in your area of expertise?
Yes, I have. I've published approximately 70 or probably closer to 80 peer-reviewed manuscripts in different scientific journals. I've also published a number of book chapters on various topics, approximately 30. And I have published 3 textbooks, one of which has gone into a second edition on topics that are related to my area of expertise. And one of them actually is about the treatment of PTSD in parents of premature infants.
Have you published a book through the APA?
Actually, all of those books were published through the APA, the American Psychiatric Association. They have a publishing house, and that's been my publishing company.
What is the APA?
The APA, the American Psychiatric Association, not to be confused with the American Psychological Association, is a professional organization that represents psychiatrists in the US. The last time I looked at this, I think there's about 37 or 38,000 members. And the APA has many different roles. One of it is advocacy in psychiatry in the US, but it also has an important role in terms of education. So they host an annual scientific meeting every year in which psychiatrists will present their research. It publishes a number of journals in the field, and fairly frequently it publishes guidelines for professional practice or about ethical guidelines that they hope that members will follow as part of their practice.
What ways are you involved with the APA?
Well, I mentioned my publishing. I also present at the scientific meetings. I last presented in 2021 during COVID. It was virtually, but on the topic of group therapy for parents with trauma symptoms. I follow the APA and their various guidelines. I think it's a really influential and important institution.
Going back to your credentials, what, if any, professional awards have you received?
I've been given several teaching awards at Stanford University, and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry that I mentioned honored me with an award for service to my specialty.
I think that they were looking him up. I think that they were doing their searches and they found him randomly.
Have you given any public presentations?
But I still think he's a credible. I think he's still a credible witness.
Yes, that's part of our work as an academic psychiatrist is to lecture, to give presentations. So I present fairly frequently at annual scientific meetings, as I mentioned. I've been invited to give grand round presentations at different medical centers, including University of Pennsylvania and Harvard. So that's just part of I think our role is to try to educate our colleagues about our work.
Have you testified as an expert in the field of psychiatry before?
Yes, I have.
On how many occasions?
I would estimate in terms of deposition and trial testimony, approximately 50 times in the past 15, 20 years.
What type of cases did you testify as an expert in?
They're pretty varied. So some of them have been medical malpractice. I've also done a number of cases evaluating victims who've been subject to physical or sexual assault or trauma.
What work were you asked to do in this case?
My role in this case was to give my opinions about the testimony and opinions of Dr. Spiegel, whom you heard from yesterday morning.
And what work have you done to form your opinion?
I was present yesterday in court listening to his testimony. I have viewed his depositions. He had 2 depositions earlier this year, and I watched those depositions. I've also read a lot of deposition testimony. For example, testimony by Mr. Depp psychiatrist, Dr. Blaustein, by his physician, Dr. Kipper, and nurse Debbie Lloyd. I've reviewed depositions by many of the therapists involved in this case, including Dr. Banks, the relationship consultant, Dr. Cohen, who was Ms. Heard's therapist, and I think Dr. Anderson, who I think provided some couples therapy. I've also reviewed the medical records of Dr. Kipper and Dr. Blaustein, and some various email communications. I think a lot of the information that has been talked about here.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to offer Dr. Shaw as an expert in the field of psychiatry.
Any objection?
We approach.
Okay.
Oh, dear Lord. I have a feeling, maybe they're going to sit there and say, well, he didn't do enough. You see what I'm saying? He didn't do enough to look things up. You know, this very elegant, intelligent, poor man's David Bowie had to do some research, but maybe they're coming up saying he hasn't done enough research, and maybe he isn't the right person to have up here right now. But he kind of does have that David Bowie vibe, though. I ain't gonna lie, he got that David Bowie vibe. Yeah, it's still day 21, y'all. JC is still day 21. Yo, there's only 3 more days, though. Let's keep it real. 3 more days and it's over. I mean, in my personal opinion, this thing is over already. But we got a few more days left, y'all. And then it's a wrap, son. It's a wrap. 'Tis a wrap. But he hasn't really said anything yet. He just talked about his credentials. You know, David Bowie with glasses. Absolutely. You know,
So any objection?
ground
No
control
All
to
right, so
Major
he'll
Tom.
be moved as an expert. Thank you.
Dr. Shaw, you testified that you observed Dr. Spiegel's testimony yesterday.
Thank
Yes,
you,
that's
Kathy.
correct.
Welcome to the fam.
And to reorient the jury, can you please generally describe the main areas in which Dr. Spiegel testified?
Jamie,
Yes,
Yeah,
Objection,
yeah.
Your Honor. They heard what he testified to. What
Can
his-
make our
All
client
right.
look like
Foundation to reorient them?
That's okay.
look like the
Well,
present
we
she
can-
left on the bed.
Okay. Do you
Absolutely.
have an opinion of Dr. Spiegel's
Press
testimony?
Start.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
And what is your opinion?
Oh my lord.
I have a couple of
He's a bumbling
primary
idiot.
opinions.
Love.
The first is that my opinion is that he violated the ethical principles that are outlined in the Goldwater Rule when he gave his opinions about
I'll
Mr.
stop.
Depp, specifically with relationship to personality traits and his cognitive abilities. My second primary opinion would be that
That's hilarious.
that Dr. Spiegel's opinions
Is
were
asinine.
unreliable
Exactly.
and that he had insufficient
Objection, Your-
information.
objection,
He was an
Your
idiot.
Honor.
All right.
And he was on cocaine.
You're going to approach.
Yeah.
Homeboy was like, remember him? Do I have to answer that question? You know, Smeagol. My precious. Smeagol. Smeagol the Eagle. Spiegel. Okay? Clearly he's going to come up here and just destroy everything he has to say because his performance was terrible. His performance was trash. His testimony was terrible. Okay? So I cannot wait to hear what this doctor has to say, but I hope it's short and sweet because there's still a whole lot of people that they got to listen to. We still got a whole lot of people to talk to and listen to. Who else is on this list? Hold up. Who else be on this list, though? We still have Jennifer Howell, which we all have been waiting for that. And we still have Candy Davison Goldbraun. And that's a representative for the Children's Hospital. Everyone else so far, we have, we're on with Dick Shaw, Dr. Dick Shaw. He's on right now. But everybody else is done. We still have 2 more people we got to go through. There's not a whole lot of time left. There's about 2 hours left, y'all. And then it's a wrap. So we'll see how long this testimony and their cross is going to take. I mean, just by his accent alone, he's credible in my personal opinion. I'm kidding. Isn't it funny how other accents make people sound extremely intelligent, but they could be spitting out just garbage water. You know what I mean? But it's still the way they're speaking, so elegant. My name is Dr. Richard Shaw. It's absolutely astonishing that you hired this man. You know what I mean? It's just very interesting. Just to me. But let's see what happens here. I don't know what they're arguing about. Maybe they're asking some questions on, maybe they got to show what they're going to be asking real quick before everything pops off. But we will see soon enough. Yeah, I think we all want Dr. Spiegel to come back. You know what I mean? Have him come back. All right. Oh, thank you, Grace. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate that. Alf, yes, he is certifiable. Real talk. Am I the only one who ever noticed that? Like anytime, you have somebody who has like this doctor here, Dr. Scholl. Okay. Everything he says is so, so It's so elegant. It sounds so articulate because he's got this accent, but he could be talking like straight out his ass. I'm just saying, y'all. Man, it's been a long day. Man, Mr. Gaming, thank you so much. I appreciate you letting Tug know that we love and support him all the way over here. Real talk. I do appreciate you doing that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's this, but I know for a fact as soon as they get back on and they start asking him questions, they're just going to keep going back to back to back with objections for sure. For sure. What's kind of helpful is, in a way, I hate them. I dread them like crazy, but the video depositions that are already pre-recorded, we won't have to hear Elaine say objection every 5 seconds. It's a deposition. It's already pre-recorded. There's nothing that she can do about it. It is what it is. So I am really looking forward to that moment. We'll be back. Be sure to hit that like button, y'all. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Dr. Shaw, you mentioned the Goldwater rule. What led up to the publication of the Goldwater rule?
The Goldwater rule came about in response to an incident that occurred during the 1964 presidential election, when Senator Barry Goldwater was running as a Republican candidate. And there was a magazine called Fact Magazine that started a campaign to discredit Senator Goldwater. And they obtained a mailing list from the AMA and sent out a single survey questionnaire to about 12,000 psychiatrists in the US, asking if they felt that Senator Goldwater was fit to run for office. And about 2,000 psychiatrists responded, 1,000 of whom expressed very negative opinions about Senator Goldwater and made comments such as, for example, he was a megalomaniac, he was a paranoid schizophrenic, that he had narcissistic personality disorder. And as a result of that, he was replaced as a candidate and then went on to sue Fact Magazine for defamation of character. And he was successful in that lawsuit. And in response to this incident, the American Psychiatric Association, that I think was really concerned about how psychiatry was being represented and statements psychiatrists were making about someone they had never met or evaluated, issued the Goldwater rule. And the main premise of the Goldwater rule was that it was improper for a psychiatrist to render a professional opinion about a public figure unless they had personally and closely evaluated them.
What justifications did the APA provide, other than the ones you mentioned, for enacting the Goldwater rule?
They wanted to make sure that psychiatric illness wasn't being stigmatized. They wanted to ensure that individuals weren't defamed by statements made by a psychiatrist that weren't backed up by medical evidence. And they also wanted to preserve the integrity of the psychiatric profession, since I think the public in general, when a psychiatrist speaks out publicly and expresses an opinion, a psychiatric opinion, people generally like to take that seriously. And the APA wanted to make sure that those opinions were credible and could be relied upon.
Have there been any updates to the Goldwater rule?
Yeah, since 1973, which was when the Goldwater rule first came out, there have been a number of revisions and publications by the APA they're called annotations in psychiatry, in which the Goldwater rule has been better defined and expanded to some degree. So, for example, in 2017, in this publication, the APA reasserted that it was not ethical to provide a psychiatric or professional opinion about someone who had not been evaluated personally by that psychiatrist, that it was unethical to provide an evaluation without obtaining consent from that individual. They also sort of really kind of defined what a professional opinion is, and how they defined it is that an opinion that a psychiatrist expresses about someone's speech, behavior, or any characteristic about that person, if that opinion is made using the expertise, experience, and knowledge inherent in the practice of psychiatry, that is considered a professional opinion. So it might include making a diagnosis or not making a diagnosis. And the other, I think, a couple of important things about that 2017 document were that the APA specified that if a psychiatrist is to give an opinion about someone, about the diagnosis or personality characteristics, whatever, that they have to follow an appropriate methodology. They have to do an evaluation that follows the standard practice of a psychiatrist here in the US. And if they don't do that, they are considered to be, affecting the integrity of both the psychiatrist and the psychiatric profession. And this revision of the Goldwater rule definitely received a lot of support. The president of the APA at the time stated that breaking the Goldwater rule was irresponsible, stigmatizing, and definitely unethical. So that was a very strong statement from the president of the APA.
What other medical organizations have weighed in on this issue?
Yeah, the number of organizations have their own sort of version of the Goldwater rule. The American Medical Association, that represents physicians in the US, has an annual meeting, and they have what's called a Council of Ethical and Judicial Affairs, and they had a meeting in 2017 in Honolulu, and they came up with their own statement about the issue of whether physicians can provide opinions without directly evaluating somebody. And their opinion was that physicians should refrain from giving a psychiatric diagnosis about any public figure, including celebrities and people in the media.
Are there exceptions to the Goldwater rule?
There are exceptions, yeah. And I think Dr. Spiegel had a lot to say about this yesterday when he was saying that if you couldn't express an opinion without evaluating someone, it sort of made the whole specialty or role of experts in the court sort of null and void. But there are exceptions and situations in which an expert can give testimony in court. So one good example would be if there was a medical malpractice case, or if there was a case that involved a patient who'd committed suicide and the courts wanted to find out whether the psychiatrist had followed appropriate practice. The expert can review medical records and can give an opinion based on those records, provided those records have sufficient information, for example, about the diagnoses, about the treatment, about how the patient was responding or not responding to treatment.
Did you form an opinion about whether Dr. Spiegel complied with the Goldwater rule?
Well, my opinion is that he did not. He expressed a number of professional opinions about Mr. Depp that we heard about yesterday. And again, he did so without an evaluation, without consent. He did not follow the guidelines of the APA in the 2017 revision, where it was considered important that there'd be sufficient information obtained by that expert to give an opinion. So I would definitely felt that his conduct, unfortunately, did violate the Goldwater rule.
And specifically, what opinions of that Dr. Spiegel gave yesterday do you feel violated the Goldwater rule?
Yeah, I think that, well, there were sort of two primary ones. The first that you heard about was that Dr. Spiegel had professional opinions about Mr. Depp's personality. And he talked a lot about how he believed that Mr. Depp had narcissistic personality traits. So, and he also, talked a lot about narcissistic personality disorder. So, narcissistic personality disorder is a diagnosis in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's called the DSM-5 for short. It's a diagnostic manual published by the APA.
Objection, Your Honor. We heard from him.
Okay.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, if she is really like, I keep wondering what she's all smiles about. Maybe she's realizing that it's over. Maybe that's what it is.
Go ahead, Dr. Shaw, please continue.
Sure. So I was just talking about narcissistic personality disorder in the DSM-5.
Yeah, she's
so the
new.
diagnostic criteria for that.
That blonde lawyer's been sitting in the corner for a minute.
I'm not going to remember every word about this.
For weeks.
Essentially, it's a pattern of grandiosity, a need for admiration, a lack of empathy that's demonstrated by that person since young adulthood. And the DSM-5 has 9 specific criteria. And for someone to meet the diagnosis, you have to meet 5 of those criteria. And so when, as a psychiatrist, we're trying to make a diagnosis of any personality disorder or any diagnosis in general, the normal professional guidelines would dictate that we would do a very careful diagnostic interview. And there are actually interviews specifically written to assess personality disorders. It's also possible to have the individual fill out questionnaires. There's something called the Narcissistic Personality Inventory. This is a 40-item checklist that taps into various components of narcissistic personality disorder. And it's also possible to get psychological testing, like the MMPI that I think you heard about in reference to one of the other experts here. So with all of this information, including collateral information from family members, work colleagues, information of that sort, it is possible to come up with a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. So in the case of Dr. Spiegel, he had none of this information, even though he came out and stated with what he described as a degree of medical certainty that Mr. Depp had narcissistic personality traits. And if you remember somewhat towards the end of his testimony yesterday, he was asked to, since he couldn't provide any documentation from the medical record about narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic personality traits, he was asked about what is referred to a lot in his testimony as record evidence. So information that he obtained from depositions, from text messages, from emails, whatever. And so he was asked to give, I think, 5 examples of record evidence that would make it seem like Mr. Depp met criteria for narcissistic personality traits. I'll just mention a couple of them, just to illustrate my opinion, is that testimony did not really hold together. So he stated, for example, that one of the criteria for narcissism is narcissistic personality disorder is a sense of entitlement. And the example Dr. Spiegel gave is that he believed that Ms. Heard married him for his money. So clearly, sense of entitlement is from a psychiatry perspective, that's very different from a belief that someone wanted you for your money. A second example that was given was that he was asked to give an example of how Mr. Depp had shown that he was envious of others, which is another criterion for narcissistic personality disorder. And the example that Dr. Spiegel gave is that Mr. Depp was jealous of Ms. Heard because he believed she was having an affair with Mr. Franco. Now, if we look at these two terms as a psychiatrist, there's a big difference between being envious and being jealous. As a psychiatrist, when I think about envy, I think about somebody wants something that someone else has, and it makes them feel
Objection, Your
bad.
Honor. I think this is going beyond his
All right.
presentation.
He's giving his opinion as to how Dr. Spiegel violated the Goldwater rule with respect to his testimony about narcissistic personality traits.
He did, but now sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. Okay, and you mentioned 2 major examples. What was the second one?
The second one was confusing being envious with being jealous.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Shaw. I mean, you mentioned 2 major examples of ways Dr. Spiegel violated the Goldwater rule. What is the second?
Oh, sure. So the other big category had to do with Dr. Spiegel's evaluation of Mr. Depp's cognitive abilities. And his general opinion was that Mr. Depp had deficits in his memory, in his attention, in his processing speed, that he had word-finding difficulties. Again, Dr. Spiegel did not evaluate Mr. Depp, and the information that he relied upon, there were two pieces of information. The first was that he watched a very long deposition that Mr. Depp gave the day after I think he had flown back from London to the East Coast. And he made observations about Mr. Depp's behavior in that deposition, and felt that he could opine or give an opinion about processing speed and other cognitive aspects. He also made reference to something you heard about yesterday, this thing called the mini mental status examination. This is a brief screen for memory and cognitive functioning that is often done. And he testified that Dr. Blaustein had administered the mini mental status examination. And although, from the records, all we know is that...
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection.
Dr. Shaw, without going into Dr. Blaustein's record, what information does a mini mental exam provide?
Objection, Your Honor. It's beyond the scope of this estimation.
Overruled as to that limited question.
Yeah, so the mini mental status is it's a series of about 10 or 11 questions and tasks that someone completes, and you get a score out of 30. What Dr. Spiegel testified was that Mr. Depp could not recall 3 words after 5 minutes. And he used that as an example of Mr. Depp having cognitive deficits that he specifically attributed to Mr. Depp's alcohol and substance abuse.
He burnt out.
And
he ate up.
He really did not have sufficient information. I liken a mini mental status exam, it's like taking someone's temperature. If it's elevated,
Objection, Your Honor, and I think it's going beyond.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Now it's probably a good time for a break.
Okay, sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know you had a break, but we didn't. So we're going to go ahead and take our afternoon break for 15 minutes. Do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, okay? You can stay right there, Doctor.
Smeagol's testimony so far has been destroyed thus far by Dr. Richard Shaw. Well, guys, so far it's just a lot of
All right,
explanation,
You're
but
excused for the 15 minutes too, sir, Doctor. Okay, we'll come back at 4:17 then, finish the day? Okay.
so far so good. I mean, right now we're still waiting to hear. I mean, what we have so far is, he's just basically denouncing all the things that Dr. Spiegel did, because it was all. I mean, it's all trash. And it really is about just how he presented it. I think it was just his energy, his vibe, his everything. And then, of course, with the cross, when they cross-examined him and asking him a whole bunch of questions, and he just did not seem confident in the things that he was saying, it was pretty damn bad. But there is something I wanted to show you guys. Since we got 15 minutes to do this, I wanted to show you guys. This has to do with Spiegel and the fact that before he went up on to the stand, he asked something. He asked a question right quick that is not good. Allegedly, it was caught. Somebody was able to crank up the volume and figure out what the heck he was saying. But yeah, I wanted to share this with y'all because I think this is interesting enough for us to take a look at. Hold on. Apparently there is. Oh shoot! Hold up. Where the heck? All right. This isn't the greatest thing in the world, but I'm going to try. See, this is the one thing I hate about TikTok. TikTok needs to figure out their online, like their desktop platform, so that we all can like take a look at something in full form, or in widescreen. But hey, we're going to take a look at this because I want you guys to see this, because this is from TikTok and it's making its rounds right now. But I figured it'd be interesting. It's interesting enough for us to take a look at as well. Now, before I show you guys this, okay, Mr. Spiegel, the Smeagol Eagle, okay, right before he went up on the stand, there was a little bit of a brief moment. There was kind of like a few seconds, right, where he didn't go up and he didn't swear or anything. And then because Elaine went over and talked to him for a minute. And then he walked over and swore, and then he went up and sat on the stand and did his testimony. Now, allegedly, this is what's being said between them. She pulled him over. I guess he motioned her over or something like that. And he was like, hey, like we gotta, I need to ask you something. Turns him over, and here it is. Okay. The microphones were on. Okay, when this went down. So let's take a look at this. This is ridiculous. Do you hear that? Now somebody cranked it all the way up. One more time. What do y'all think about that? How you like them apples? Caught on a wild microphone. Dr. Spiegel. So apparently this hasn't gotten to the plaintiffs. It hasn't gotten to Team Depp. Somehow this needs to get to Team Depp somehow, because they can totally destroy everything. He said it. You heard the audio. I will lie on my testimony. Is there something that you don't want me to lie about? Just saying. I mean, he is a hired gun. Yeah. You know, it like at first I was like, wait a second. So yeah, Judy, somebody call Team Depp. Absolutely. But where was that? Where was that? I just had it and it slipped. Where did it go? Damn. There it is. Anna just said this on YouTube. I heard it. Sounds like their voices. It's not edited. That's why I keep going. Is this fake or is this real? Because I tried to play it earlier on the earlier part 1 today on today's watch party. And I sat there and I'm going, is this real or is this fake? Now it's been taking its rounds. It's been making its rounds on TikTok. It's making its rounds all over the Twitters. Okay. But at the same time, is this real or is it not? You know, there have been people talking about all kinds of crazy stuff, everything other than, you know, about her quoting the talented Mr. Ripley. I mean, there's been so many different stories and so many different speculations about everything. And so when you see something like this, when you hear something like that, it's going, wait a second, how was he really lying? Was he really lying? Then the other question I have too. I mean, comments are going fast. It's effing real. It's most definitely real. But then it makes sense for when he goes back and he keeps retracting everything that he says. He sounds like a blubbering idiot. That's why we're all been making fun of him and having a grand old time laughing like a mug, because he sounds like a bloody, blubbering idiot. He keeps backtracking. He keeps falling all over himself, so on and so forth. Because that is what a person who's lying does. Instead of just going, well, it's this, and it's this, and it's this. He keeps making things up, and he even calls Johnny Depp an idiot. This is somebody who's actually objectively looking at information and trying to find out what this is all about. You know what I mean? And trying to do their job, right? See, now, Mr. Unite for the Chill Wind. Yeah, I don't know if there's a timestamp literally for it, but I do remember this. I could have sworn I said, what are they talking about? I think I said, like, what do they got to talk about? Send them up. You know what I mean? Send them over to the stand. And he was talking with her. We couldn't hear anything, but somebody took the time to crank the volume on that thing just to hear what she had to say. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the fact that Team Depp doesn't have that, that's proof right there. That's hard evidence showing that that man was committing perjury on the stand on Amber Heard's behalf. Remember, if she wins $100 million. Again, let me repeat that again. She wins $100 million. That's a whole lot of money, y'all. Whole lot of money. So of course, she's going to sit there and maybe tell these people, yo, I'll spend, I'll give you money. I'll give you a couple bags. Just lie on the stand for me. And if I win, you get a good portion. You get a chunk of this $100 million. You never know that. What about the doctor beforehand? What about that orthopedic surgeon that was coming off like an absolute idiot. He's an orthopedic surgeon. And he was sitting there going, oh, yeah, definitely. There's no way that happened from somebody throwing a bottle at his finger and severing the tip of his finger off. No way. My expert opinion from text messages and Xerox copies of X-rays. Oh, yeah. My professional opinion is that, Johnny Depp definitely cut his own finger off. Oh, yeah. Look at the angle and how it's done and blah, blah, blah. I mean, come on. Ooh, that felt good. Imagine that. How about any of the other people that have come up aside from her character witnesses? All the experts. Let's go all the way back to Dr. Hughes. She was trash too. Oh, wow. Sandy the Sassy Queen. What? The Umbrella Guy just said to Popcorn Planet that someone had contacted him, letting him know that someone is offering a huge sum of money to Doc's Tug. Wow. That's trash. See, that's trash, y'all. And that Umbrella Guy is Tug. Just for y'all who don't know, okay? Those y'all in the nosebleed seats that don't know what's going on. Real quick, I know this is off subject, but I feel like you guys should know. There was something that just recently happened. There was excuse me. I'm just trying to pull it back up. Man, I got one story that I want to tell you guys so bad, but I got this one is really terrible too. There was a shooting at a Texas elementary school. So I just wanted to let you guys know about what's going on. What we know so far, okay, this is just breaking right now as we speak, or it's been breaking over the past couple hours now. But I'm just going to go through these bullets really quick. I know it's a left turn and not everybody wants to listen to this and know about any of this, but we have a little bit of time. So I just wanted to show this to you guys real quick. And, there's other things that are going on in the world aside from Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So I just wanted to show this to you guys fast. But at least 2 elementary kids, children, are unalive, and 13 are hospitalized after a Texas, you see the word, barricaded himself inside the school during a shootout with Border Patrol for 40 miles from the border. Shooter has been arrested, but almost 13 children have been hospitalized. Okay? This is actually happening right now as we speak. So the Uvalde Memorial Hospital confirmed that 2 children were brought in unalive on arrival, and that they were treating several more following a shooting that happened at the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. All right. A gunman allegedly opened fire in the elementary school after he exchanged gunfire with the Border Patrol agents and barricaded himself inside the school, sending the campus into a lockdown. Prior to his arrest, the suspect exchanged gunfire with Border Patrol agents before barricading inside the school. The hospital said that they are currently caring for several students in the ER and asked that the family of injured students to report to the hospital. On Tuesday afternoon, a gunman was on the run, okay, at Robb Elementary School at Uvalde as the campus and all other schools in the district went into lockdown. So basically he was an active, gunman on the run, and then ran into this elementary school, and then all this hell broke loose. So right now, all we know, and this is just the information I have right now, 13 children have been hospitalized in Texas after a gunman runs into this elementary school and barricades himself inside the school having a full-on shootout with 5-0. Just wanted to let you guys know about that information real quick. All right. And that's something that's breaking right now as we speak. It's so sad. We really got to start taking care of each other and taking care of our loved ones. This kind of stuff does not need to be happening, but it is very, very real. 13 kids are being hospitalized right now. Just so you know. Anyway, that is breaking news right now as we speak. But going back to this to this video, to that audio, it makes you wonder. Oh, Uvalde. Sorry. Uvalde. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you so much. It's near your hometown. Well, my thoughts and prayers go out to the people in your area, and of course to the hometown of Uvalde. I'm sorry. Because that's terrible. Okay. I think the suspect has been detained, and so we'll see what happens there. But looks like we're going back into court to finish this ish. Got about an hour left, so hopefully they wrap it up. B. I guess we're not listening to any Jennifer Howell today. And Jennifer, I couldn't agree more. That's something we most definitely need. Most definitely. But anyway, it was breaking, so I had to tell the story. Sorry, guys, but had to talk about it.
Thank you. You be seated. All right, your next question.
Thank you. Dr. Shaw, is the Goldwater rule limited to diagnoses?
It's not. It's includes all professional opinions.
Do you agree with Dr. Spiegel that the Goldwater rule doesn't apply to expert witnesses?
I don't agree, no.
How could Dr. Spiegel express an opinion without violating the Goldwater rule?
This has actually been a topic that's been written and published about. So it is possible for someone to give testimony about a matter without interviewing someone. And there's certain sort of ways that it should be framed. So for example, when Dr. Spiegel was testifying about the report that Mr. Depp was unable to recall these 3 objects, what he could have done is said that I have not personally examined Mr. Depp, so I can't speculate about his cognitive state or ability to function cognitively. However, it is possible that someone who's not able to recall 3 objects could have issues related to substance use, which was what his opinion was. However, what he should have done in expressing his opinion is then have followed up to say that in order to really establish whether these were relevant and significant cognitive deficits, Mr. Depp should have had psychological testing to establish the nature of these deficits. And he should also have added that there are other potential explanations.
Yes, most definitely got some David Bowie vibes
findings.
for sure.
So, for example, it's possible that Mr. Depp...
Objection, Your Honor. He's now going past the designation.
I think he's just opining as to, or is responding to Dr. Spiegel's testimony yesterday.
No, he's opining as to what Dr. Spiegel could have said, but it's past the whether he about the
All right.
Goldwater rule.
And again, guys,
Okay.
sorry for the left turn, but I had to tell you guys what was going on,
Who's
what's
qualified
breaking
to
right
give an
now
opinion
nationally.
about cognitive deficits and processing speed?
It would have to be someone who could conduct the type of neuropsychological testing that I was mentioning. You can't establish the presence of cognitive deficits without
Objection,
a
Your Honor.
battery of tests.
Objection, again, this is beyond the Goldwater rule.
Overruled.
You can't establish cognitive deficits without appropriate neuropsychological testing. And that can only be done by a psychologist or neuropsychologist. So a psychiatrist like Dr. Spiegel would be giving an opinion outside of his area of expertise if he gave an opinion about cognitive deficits that required psychological testing to be further evaluated.
Dr. Spiegel yesterday testified about the practice of forensic psychiatry. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, I do.
What is forensic psychiatry?
Forensic psychiatry is a specialty of psychiatry that relates to matters on the intersection between psychiatry and the law. So, for example, what we're doing today is forensic psychiatry, where a psychiatrist comes into court and gives an opinion about a matter to help the court may come to an opinion.
Are there professional standards that govern the practice of forensic psychiatry?
Yes, there are.
And what organizations have issued those standards?
One of the primary organizations that has issued guidelines about the practice of forensic psychiatry is called the American Academy of Psychiatry and the Law. This is an organization that represents forensic psychiatrists. And it has published guidelines about what constitutes an ethical and sound practice of doing a forensic assessment and providing a psychiatric opinion. So this guideline, I think was published in 2015, actually contains many elements that are consistent with the Goldwater Rule. So, for example, it states that for a forensic assessment to be done, there has to be informed consent, and there should be a very thorough, comprehensive evaluation that would include reviewing past records, past psychiatric history. It would include doing what's called a mental status examination, which is a careful evaluation of someone's mood, cognition, things of that nature. And the guidelines do state that it is reasonable or permitted to provide an opinion without an evaluation. But if you're going to do that, there's some things that you have to really make clear in your opinion when you express that opinion. And the first is that you have to acknowledge the limitations of your opinion and not, like Dr. Spiegel, say that his opinion was held with a degree of medical certainty. You have to explain what's missing, what data you did not have that you were not able to rely upon in coming to that opinion. You also have to talk about what additional information you would need to come to that opinion. And even though these guidelines say it's permissible to do this, the text is still, I think, not fully in support of psychiatrists doing this. So their statements are that opinions rendered without a proper database, which is what we as psychiatrists rely upon to make diagnoses and give opinions, professional opinions, is questionable and not generally recommended.
Did you form an opinion about Dr. Spiegel's testimony with respect to these practice guidelines?
Yes, I did.
And what is your opinion?
Well, my opinion is that he did not follow those guidelines. So, for example, he did not have consent. He did not do even a basic evaluation of Mr. Depp. When he gave his opinions, as I just mentioned, he said they were opinions that he had to a degree of medical certainty, and he did not make any statements about what other additional information he would have wanted to make that opinion. So, for example, when asked about should neuropsychological testing be performed, he said most patients don't have access to that, which is actually not at all true. I mean, every medical school has neuropsychologists that can do testing. So I think that was an unfortunate statement. So I think those are the primary ways in which the Goldwater Rule was violated, and the practice guidelines were not adhered to.
Dr. Shah, yesterday Dr. Spiegel was talking about correlation and causation. What is the difference between correlation and causation?
Oh, I didn't know that. Damn.
It's not in his designation.
it is. We can approach.
I thought he was.
All right.
I thought the shooter was detained, but okay, that's news to me. And I'm sorry for the left turn, guys. I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on in the world and all that. I mean, I know that we're going through all this technical jargon with Dr. Richard Shaw, aka David Bowie. But I wanted you guys to know what was going on. And that's something that just recently happened. This happened today. It just makes you wonder why this particular person ran into an elementary school of all things, actively barricading himself inside of the school. And then how did this happen? Was he opening fire on these children, or are these kids getting caught by stray bullets because there was a firefight going on? But anyway, I digress. It's another conversation that we're going to have on another time.
Go ahead, Dr. Shaw.
Yeah, so the difference between a correlation and causation, correlation is a statistical analysis of a relationship between two different factors. So in Dr. Spiegel's testimony, he talked about, there being a correlation between opinions he had about Mr. Depp, his narcissistic personality traits, his substance abuse, things of that nature. So a correlation doesn't say anything about whether or not these factors caused that, the behavior he was discussing. Perhaps one of the easiest ways I could describe this difference between correlation and causation is if we look at the issue of measles, if you bear with me. So,
and it's not 14, it's
young,
13 injured, 2 have perished, just so you guys know.
We know that measles is not caused by being young. Measles is caused by a virus. But young children have not.
Thank you, Lateef. Let me know if you know anything or if they know anything, okay? Let me know.
So the difference statistically is, the difference is between causation and correlation is illustrated by that example. So another way I might put this is if we had 100 people in a room, just bringing it back to the issue of IPV that Dr. Spiegel was testifying about. Let's say we had 70 people who had all the risk factors for IPV and 30 people who had no risk factors for IPV. So what can we say about those 70 people? We can't say that any single one of those people has perpetrated IPV, even though they may have all the risk factors. And if we look at the 30 people who have no risk factors, we also can't say whether or not they have perpetrated IPV. So the actual presence of risk factors for IPV that Dr. Spiegel was talking about, they say absolutely nothing about what happened in this case.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Nothing further.
All right, cross-examination.
Make it short and sweet, please.
Good afternoon.
You're not offering any opinion as to Mr. Depp's psychology, correct?
That's correct.
And you testified a lot about the Goldwater rule. You know of no case where an expert has been excluded from testifying based on the Goldwater rule, correct?
I don't know about the whole universe of cases. It's possible, but I don't know personally about one.
And you, before this case, you've never offered an opinion on the Goldwater rule before, correct?
That's correct.
And you've never written an article on the Goldwater rule, correct?
I have not.
And you've never given a presentation on the Goldwater rule, correct?
I have not.
And you've never been on any committees regarding the Goldwater rule, correct?
I have not.
Okay. And you agree that you've testified that there are exceptions to the Goldwater rule about having to interview the subject, right?
Yes.
And you understand that Dr. Spiegel requested to meet with Mr. Depp twice, but Mr. Depp declined, correct?
I'm aware of that.
And Dr. Spiegel stated in his designation and at trial yesterday that he did not meet with Mr. Depp, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can we put up Defendant's Exhibit 1904? Dr. Shaw, have you seen the opinions of the Ethics Committee on the Principles of Medical Ethics?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could turn to 79 of the Pediatrics, and it's actually, thank you. You see where it's highlighted here?
Yes.
And it says psychiatrists have also argued that the Goldwater rule is not sound because psychiatrists are sometimes asked to render
Objection,
opinions.
hearsay.
He's an expert. Without conducting an examination of an individual. Examples occur in particular in certain forensic cases and consultative roles. This objection attempts to subsume the rule with its exceptions. What this objection misses, however, is that the rendering of expertise and or an opinion in these contexts is permissible because there is a court authorization for the examination or an opinion without examination. And this work is conducted within an evaluative framework, including parameters for how and where the information may be used or disseminated. You see that?
I do, yes.
And this court authorized Dr. Spiegel to testify in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
All right, redirect.
Do we have to redirect? Okay.
Dr. Shaw, Mr. Nadelhoff just asked you about the court authorization of Mr. Depp's evaluation. Are you aware that the court has twice denied Ms. Heard's request for an evaluation?
That's what's
of
up,
Mr. Depp?
man.
I heard that yesterday in testimony, yes.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. You can,
Who
you can
next?
have a seat or you can leave. Thank you.
You got an hour left. Who
Next
next? Who be next, though?
All right.
Jennifer Howell. The moment we've been waiting for, y'all. Video deposition by Jennifer Mother freaking Howell. You hear that noise? What does that mean? What does that mean, y'all? It means that the screen is moving up and turning and doing whatever it needs to do. It's about that dizam time. Jennifer Howell in the house, ready to drop some knowledge bomb and some truth bombs all up in this mother lover like it's Hiroshima. Okay? I can't wait for this. This better be good. This better be good. That's all I'm saying. This better be good. And I agree, Lady Justice. He did a very good job just debunking all the BS. Basically, he went through it and said, all of it is BS. Spiegel, most likely, was lying under oath. Just saying. Just saying. So let's see what we got here. Are we going to play it? Are we good? What's popping?
Please state your name and address for the
There we
record.
go.
Jennifer Howell, Los Angeles, California. And what is your current occupation? I run the Art of Elysium, CEO of the Art of Elysium. Let me just go back. Now,
There we
you
go.
indicated
Better internet.
that Whitney lived with you from January 2015.
You know who she reminds me
I'm
of?
sorry, May 2015 to April
She
2016.
reminds me
Are you
of...
absolutely certain about those dates? I'm certain, yes. She came and went at different periods, but all of her stuff moved out of my house April 2016. And I'm sorry, did you say you were 100% certain of that? Ms. Hall, could you answer my question? Yes, she did go back to Amber and Johnny's at different points, but she was still living with me during that time. The question I asked, because you were talking at the same time as Vasquez was giving an objection, was I believe that you said you were 100% certain of those dates. Is that correct?
Same with me.
All right.
Oh, you previously testified that you were the CEO for Art of Elysium. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And are you still currently in that
There we
position?
go.
Yes, I am.
And how long have you been the CEO for Art of Elysium?
I am the founder of the organization. So we did our first workshop in August of 1997, filed the legal paperwork in February of 98 to set up a 501c3. So I guess since the beginning of the charity.
Ms. Howell, when did you first meet Amber Heard?
Okay.
At the Pineapple Express premiere.
She
Is where I
looks...
met she and her sister Whitney.
She looks like she could be
Do you remember
this
approximately what
guy's
year that was?
sister, or
I believe it was around 2008.
I'm a jerk.
I'm sure that could be pulled. It was the LA premiere. I think there was probably multiple
She just
premieres, but it was the Los Angeles premiere
kinda
of
looks-
Pineapple Express.
She looks like this guy. Doesn't she look like this guy? Kind of a little bit like they could be siblings. Just saying that out
Was
loud.
Ms. Heard there with Mr. Depp?
No, this was long before. I was a guest of James Franco, and Amber was in the movie. And so I met she and her sister at to be specific, at the after party of the premiere.
Did Ms. Henriquez end up working for Art of Elysium at some point?
Yes, she did.
What year did Ms. Henriquez begin working with Art of Elysium?
I believe it was in 2014. I don't have those documents right in front of me. I believe it was leading into the year Amber was receiving the award.
And what was Ms. Henriquez's position at Art of Elysium?
Art salon manager, director.
Does Ms. Henriquez still work for Art of Elysium?
No.
When did that end?
Oh, 2015, I believe.
Each time you saw Mr. Depp, did you ever see him doing any illicit, illegal drugs?
Never.
That's what's up.
Did you ever see him consuming excessive amounts of alcohol?
Objection. Never.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp appear intoxicated?
No.
Did Ms. Heard ever show you photographs of depicting injuries on her face or body?
No.
Did Ms. Heard ever tell you that Mr. Depp was abusive towards her?
No.
Mr. Depp paying your legal fees, Ms. Howell, for this deposition and the testimony you provided in the UK action?
He is not.
Who is?
Myself.
Me, myself, and I. She looks like she's here. She ain't trying to play. Like she's here to come in here, tell the truth, and kick rocks.
Do you feel any particular sense of loyalty towards Mr. Depp?
None at all.
Do you feel any sense of loyalty towards Ms. Heard?
None at all.
Ms. Howell, do you recognize this check as the check that the Art of Elysium received on behalf of Ms. Heard for a donation, an anonymous donation of $250,000?
Yes. Yes.
Did it bounce? That's what I'd like to know. Did the bad boy bounce or did it clear?
I believe you testified previously that you understood that the anonymous donor was Elon Musk. Is that true?
Yes.
Thank you, Nur.
If I could please have Exhibit 4 brought up.
Thanks for holding it down, Nur.
And for the record,
And
it's
Debbie.
based on JH
And Lady Justice.
22 through 29.
But for
Do you recognize this document, Ms. Howell? And if you need to scroll through the 8 pages, feel free.
Can you scroll down?
Oh, what?
Yeah, I recognize that.
For real?
And what is this?
I'm gonna have to
That is
re-research
an
it
email,
again.
I believe I sent to Whitney.
I heard 13 injured, 2
Scrolling
have
up to the
perished.
first page of
But
this
I don't know.
document.
I'm gonna look it up though.
Marcel
Paraso?
Sure, Paraso.
He is one of my oldest friends in Los Angeles who has served as a board member of the Art of Elysium and is one of my biggest confidants here in LA, kind of for the course of my career.
And going down to the third page of this exhibit.
No, that's
Thank
not
you.
it. That's not it. Ooh, that scared the crap out of me.
Is this an email, Ms. Howell, that you sent to Whitney Henriquez on or about Tuesday, July 28th, 2020 at 11:02 a.m.?
It is.
This is a true and accurate copy of an email exchange that you sent to Ms. Henriquez?
Yes, I believe I'm the one who gave that. Yes, it is.
And then did you forward this email exchange and the attachments to Marcel Parasau?
Yeah, I asked him to keep it for me.
Why did you send this email and letter to Ms. Henriquez?
Because I've struggled very much with what to do in a situation that I love someone who I know is doing something very wrong, and I know that they're doing it because they're trying to protect their sister.
Blam.
And
Booyaka.
I'm trying to protect her, and I'm just trying to get her to wake up and do the right thing, which is tell the truth. It's the only thing that can help everybody involved in this case.
Wow. Thank you for that information.
Ms. Howell,
Kathleen.
do you recall submitting a witness statement
That's terrible.
in the United Kingdom?
Oh, have mercy.
Yeah, they basically just called to verify the witness statement that was submitted previously.
And do you recognize this document to be the witness statement and the declaration that you submitted in the UK? And if you want to scroll down to look at it.
Yes, I recognize it.
And at the first page, do you see a date on this document?
Thank you for that information, King
January
Phoenix.
13th, 2021.
Dang.
And is this document a true and accurate copy of the declaration that you submitted in the UK proceeding?
I'm hearing
on or
two.
about January 13th, 2021?
I'm hearing two parish as of now, but there could be a lot more. Right now, they're
And all
saying
the
13
statements
are
in your UK
injured,
declaration
13 to
accurate and
14 are
true?
injured, but it could be more
I mean,
people,
yes,
more
I
kids
signed
that are
it, yes.
perished. I will let you guys know
All right,
if I
let's
know
pull
anything
up
else, of course.
What I believe was Depp Exhibit 9. It's been marked as Depp Exhibit 9.
Two people arrived at the university, 66-year-old woman with critical condition, the 10-year-old. Her family confirmed that she has passed and 13 kids injured. Thank you, Sandy, Sassy Queen. Thank you. But when we find out more information, I'll let you guys know, I promise. But let's continue back into our regularly scheduled
Ms.
program
Howell,
here.
earlier you were shown this document. Scrolling to the end of it.
Thank you, Sandy, though. Appreciate you, girl.
Can you go? Okay.
There. Did Mr. Waldman assist you in drafting this email?
Absolutely not.
Did you speak with Mr. Waldman at all about drafting this email?
About writing an email? No, I did that on my own accord.
Did you speak with Mr. Waldman at all about contacting the ACLU?
I do not recall having a conversation with him about that.
And Ms. Howell, you testified earlier that you received a check from Fidelity Charitable in January of 2018. Is that correct?
I don't know if I said the date, but yes, I received an anonymous donation from that check that was submitted. Whatever it's on there, I just don't know the date off the top of my head.
And you testified that there was a letter sent along with that that said that it was in honor of Amber Heard?
Yes. Richard, I was guaranteed 20 minutes with him after being attacked for 3.5 hours by your side the last time. So I am going to stick by what I was told before entering this and what your side agreed to.
Wow. She ain't
All
playing,
right, your
yo.
next witness.
Your Honor, Mr. Depp calls Candy Davidson Goldbraun, who is the corporate designee of the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
Here we go.
All right, and that's by deposition, is that correct?
That was
Yes,
very
Your Honor.
interesting. But the thing that got me was her
Ron, is it
sitting
your
there saying,
understanding that you're here to testify today on behalf of the Children's Hospital?
here we go.
Correct.
They're blazing through this stuff,
So
y'all.
as of June 2018, had any payments been made by Ms. Heard to the Children's Hospital in connection with the
Tamara, where did you get that?
$3.5 million pledge?
What's the
aside
source?
From the original $100,000
Is there a link somewhere?
check
And can you
from
send it to
Mr.
me
White
via
in August of
Twitter?
2016?
I need to see that.
Yes, there was a payment, a gift on January 9th of 2018.
And what amount is that gift that you're referring to?
$250,000.
Okay.
Okay, and was that gift made by Ms. Heard or on Ms. Heard's behalf?
By Ms. Heard.
Okay, and what are you basing that statement on?
By the check that we received from Fidelity. Fidelity charity that came to Children's Hospital.
What is this document?
The letter to Mr. White from myself inquiring about further installments on the pledge that had not been fulfilled.
And why did you write this to Mr. White on June 14th, 2019?
I was trying to figure out if there were any other payments coming from Mr. White to fulfill the pledge, because Children's Hospital Los Angeles had not received any other correspondence from him.
And what is this document?
It is the letter to Ms. Gottlieb from myself on behalf of Children's Hospital Los Angeles, inquiring about additional pledge payment installment.
This letter appears to be directed to Miss Amber Heard, care of Jody Gottlieb. Is that
Thank you,
correct?
Lamarcus. I'll take a look.
Correct.
Who's Jody Gottlieb?
In the Children's Hospital Los Angeles records, Jody Gottlieb was our contact for Miss Amber Heard.
Ms. Goldbraun, why did you send this letter to Ms. Heard and Ms. Gottlieb?
I was trying to see if the pledge was going to be fulfilled or not.
In your experience, is it common practice for anonymous donors when making donations to, in one paragraph, state that they wish to remain anonymous, and in the very next paragraph, identify themselves?
Yes,
That is common?
it is common for donors to want to remain anonymous publicly, but allow the charity to know who they are.
Between June 2018 and the dates on which you sent the letters to Ms. Heard and Mr. White in June of 2019, were any additional funds received from Ms. Heard?
No.
Okay, so as of June 2018, a total of $250,000 had been received as far as the Children's Hospital is concerned from Ms. Heard. And that was the same amount that had been donated a year later in June of 2019. Is that accurate?
Correct.
As of the date of this deposition, March 30th, 2021, how much in total has Ms. Heard donated to the Children's Hospital?
For this particular gift, in her lifetime?
From 2016 to present.
$250,000.
Ms. Goldbrun, you recall we were speaking about this letter a few minutes ago?
Correct.
All right, and this was a letter that you sent to Ms. Hurd, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever get a response to this letter?
No.
As of October of 2018, how much money had Ms. Hurd directly donated to the Children's Hospital?
$250,000.
As of March 30th.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of that.
Sorry, I just realized. You said October 2018?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. $250,000.
Okay. As of March 30th, 2019, how much money had Ms. Hurd directly donated to the Children's Hospital?
$250,000.
What is your understanding of the length of time over which Ms. Hurd pledged the gift of $3.5 million to Children's Hospital?
There was no date arrangement with Ms. Hurd to have this pledge paid off in a particular time.
If Ms. Hurd were to pay this, the rest of the $3.5 million in 2 years or 5 years, would Children's Hospital welcome that?
CHLA welcomes every and any donation that comes its way.
Has Amber Heard's pledge of the $3.5 million to Children's Hospital expired, to your knowledge?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It has not expired.
All right, thank you. Your next witness, or?
Your Honor, I think we've concluded our witnesses for today. We will have more live witnesses tomorrow.
Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the end of your day for today. Again, do not do any outside research, do not discuss the case with anybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., okay? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, they literally, literally they asked about, yeah, which is kind of redunculous. Wow. They asked if her pledge was expired.
All right, you want to have a seat for just a moment because we do have a few proffers going to be done. Just for the record, we talked about it earlier. I will charge the 30 minutes extra time for today to the plaintiff's team so we can stay on time.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, and I believe, Mr. Rodenborn, you had some proffers you wanted to do for testimony.
We did,
for
Your
the,
Honor,
for the record.
testimony in a few exhibits. Mr. Nadelhoff is actually.
Okay, Mr. Nadelhoff, if you want to proffer testimony for the record as to the testimony that the court has sustained objections.
Here, Your Honor, it's a box here, so.
All right, that's fine. You can stay there as long as you stay close to the microphone. I appreciate it.
And Your Honor, what I will do is
this?
I'll explain what we're proffering the evidence for, and then we have copies.
Good.
Which I'll provide to you. We'll provide them to you electronically, or I don't have another copy for you right now, but we'll provide.
That's
them for you.
fine. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay.
What's this evidence?
Your Honor, for Laurel
What's this
Anderson,
evidence?
on March 31st, 2022, the defendant attempted to designate certain portions of the deposition testimony for trial of Dr. Laurel Anderson, a clinical psychologist who worked with Ms. Hurd and Mr. Depp. Dr. Anderson testified in the therapy session. Ms. Hurd reported to her that she was slapped by Mr. Depp, that he hit her in the head, had her hair pulled by Mr. Depp, kicked her in the leg, and that Mr. Depp gave Ms. Hurd bruises. Ms. Hurd also reported that Mr. Depp was the first to initiate any violence. Ms. Hurd also reported that she hid in a bathroom to protect herself from Mr. Depp. Ms. Hurd also reported to Dr. Anderson that Mr. Depp threw a phone at her on May 21st, 2016, hit her and held her hair. Ms. Hurd also reported to Dr. Anderson that she was a victim to Mr. Depp's abuse. The testimony is contained in Dr. Anderson's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit A. The court also excluded records of Dr. Anderson from Ms. Hurd's and Mr. Depp's therapy sessions and a treatment summary, which are exhibits B and C. Mr. Depp objected to Dr. Anderson's testimony as described in medical records, stating that they were hearsay and that they did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained the objection on the grounds that the testimony and exhibits were hearsay. For Dr. Kipper, on March 31st, 2022, the defendant attempted to designate certain portions of the deposition testimony for trial of Dr. David Kipper, Mr. Depp's physician. Dr. Kipper testified Ms. Hurd voiced concerns of Mr. Depp's behavior while on drugs and alcohol, that Mr. Depp tried to fight and push Ms. Hurd while he was attempting detox on his island, and that she found lots of cocaine in February 2016. Dr. Kipper also testified he told Mr. Depp to, quote, bury the dragon, which referred to the bad feelings that Mr. Depp has inside him. This testimony is contained in Dr. Kipper's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit D. Dr. Kipper also testified about an email he wrote explaining Mr. Depp's detox treatment. In the email, Dr. Kipper wrote to Mr. Depp's sister that Mr. Depp had fundamental issues with anger, romanticized the drug culture, and had no patience if his needs were not met. This email is Exhibit C. Exhibit E. Mr. Depp objected to Dr. Kipper's testimony and the email stating it was hearsay, that it did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained objection on the ground that the testimony and exhibits were hearsay. Deborah Lloyd. On March 31st, 2022, the defendant attempted to designate certain portions of the deposition testimony for trial of Debbie Lloyd, Mr. Depp's nurse. Ms. Lloyd testified Ms. Hurd voiced concerns about Mr. Depp's behavior while on drugs and alcohol, and that Mr. Depp worked himself up into a rage and was trying to fight Ms. Hurd while he was attempting detox on his island. This testimony is contained in Ms. Lloyd's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit F. Also, Ms. Lloyd kept nursing notes on these issues that she testified to, which is Exhibit G. Mr. Depp objected to Ms. Lloyd's testimony and portions of the nursing notes, stating it was hearsay that did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained the objection on the ground that the testimony and portions of the nursing notes were hearsay. Aaron Borum-Filati. On March 31st and April 1st, 2022, the defendant attempted to designate certain portions of the deposition testimony for trial of Ms. Filati, Ms. Hurd's, and Mr. Depp's nurse. Ms. Filati testified that Ms. Hurd reported to her on December 16th, 2015, that Mr. Depp headbutted Ms. Hurd in the forehead. This also was contained in Ms. Filati's nursing notes, which is Exhibit H. Ms. Filati further testified that Ms. Hurd reported being freaked out after the December 2015 incident and testified to text messages between herself and Ms. Hurd, where Ms. Hurd reported the incident of abuse. These text messages are Exhibits I, J, K, L, and M. Ms. Filati also testified that on May 21st, 2016, Ms. Hurd reported that Mr. Depp became completely delusional and crazed and hit Ms. Hurd in the face while she was on the phone with Io Tillett Wright. Ms. Filati testified to text messages reporting this as well, which are contained in Exhibit N. The testimony is contained in Ms. Filati's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit O. Mr. Depp objected to Ms. Filati's testimony, portions of the nursing notes, and the text messages referenced stating it was hearsay that did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained the objections on the grounds that the testimony and portions of the nursing notes and the text messages were hearsay. Amy Banks, Dr. Amy Banks. On
Marcus,
April 29th, 2022, the defendant attempted to designate certain portions of the deposition testimony for trial of Dr. Amy Banks, a clinical psychologist and relationship consultant who worked with Ms. Hurd and Mr. Depp. Dr. Banks testified that in therapy sessions, Ms. Hurd reported that Mr. Depp attacked her physically, including by hitting her with his hand. Dr. Banks also testified that Ms. Hurd reported that Mr. Depp cut his finger off.
I think they're trying to submit more evidence, like at the last minute.
Mr. Depp initiated the violence while in a session with Mr. Depp, and Mr. Depp did not object to the
I could be wrong,
characterization
though.
of the violence. Finally, Dr. Banks testified that she
hell?
believed Ms. Hurd's accounts of the violence and that Ms. Hurd was a victim of domestic abuse. This testimony is contained in Dr. Banks's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit P.
It's like the breaking case
Mr.
of
Depp
emergency
objected to
box
Dr. Banks's testimony
that they're
stating
suddenly
it was
pulling out
hearsay
now.
that did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment and for providing improper expert opinion. The court sustained the objections on the grounds that the testimony about the abuse was hearsay and that Dr. Banks's testimony that Ms. Hurd was a victim of domestic abuse was improper expert opinion. Connell Cowan. On April 29th, 2022, The defendant attempted to designate certain
Really?
portions of the deposition
Why?
testimony for trial.
Beverly,
Dr.
why
Connell
would they do
Cowan,
that
a clinical
now?
psychologist who worked with Ms.
That
Heard.
makes no sense to me.
Dr. Cowan testified that in the therapy session, Ms. Heard reported abuse by Mr. Depp, including text messages and medical notes, where Ms. Heard reported in December 2015 that, quote, Johnny did a number on me, end quote. This testimony is contained in Dr. Cowan's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit Q. It is also contained in Dr. Cowan's medical notes in Exhibit R at Depp 9122 through 23, and is contained in text messages that are Exhibits S and T. Mr. Depp objected to Dr. Cowan's testimony, stating it was hearsay that did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained the objections on the ground that the testimony about the abuse was hearsay. Alan Blaustein. On April 29th, 2022, the defendant attempted to designate certain portions of the deposition testimony for trial of Dr. Alan Blaustein, a clinical psychologist who worked with Mr. Depp. Dr. Blaustein testified that in the therapy sessions, Mr. Depp reported that he had cut himself as a child and burned himself with cigarettes. Dr. Blaustein also testified about the drugs that Mr. Depp was on, as reported to him by Ms. Lloyd. This testimony is contained in Dr. Blaustein's deposition transcript, which is Exhibit U. This information was also contained in emails, which are Exhibits V, W, and X. Mr. Depp objected to Dr. Blaustein's testimony regarding the cutting and burning himself as speculation, and the testimony regarding the drugs Mr. Depp was taking as hearsay that did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained the objections on these grounds. Bonnie Jacobs. On May 4th, 2022, the defendant attempted to introduce into evidence the treatment notes of Dr. Bonnie Jacobs, a clinical psychologist who worked with Ms. Heard. The treatment notes show Ms. Heard reporting abuse by Mr. Depp, including sexual violence. The treatment notes are Exhibit Y, and based on the court's
All
ruling,
AH so far.
the defendant did not call Bonnie Jacobs as a witness. Mr. Depp objected to Dr. Jacobs' notes as hearsay that did not fall into any exceptions, including statements for purposes of medical treatment. The court sustained the objections on those grounds. I have some more. Give me a moment.
As long as you don't just keep turning every page in that book.
No,
because
it
I'm
is
not
not.
staying for that.
It is not.
Okay.
Because I ain't staying for that either. Jeez Louise. So they're trying to get any objections that went against them to be allowed to be
The
read
UK
to the
judgment
jury.
on April 29th, 2022, Ms. Heard moved to allow evidence and questioning regarding the UK judgment and for admission of the judgment itself, which is
All right.
Exhibit Z.
I'm gonna lower this really quick. These are all sustained objections that he's trying to indicate for the record. I think that's what the judge prefaced this as. I didn't hear that.
Damages for losing his role in Pirates of the Caribbean 6, a movie that's not yet been made. Ms. Heard further observed that Mr. Depp testified that the op-ed had caused him and his family irreparable harm, thereby suggesting that his reputational harm had continued to the present. Ms. Heard noted that Mr. Depp's expert designation indicated Michael Spindler relied on Mr. Depp's earnings from 2019 to 2021 when reaching his opinion, which resulted in an amendment to the designation. Ultimately, the court found that Mr. Depp had not opened the door to the admission of the UK judgment and overruled the motion, which the court did again today with Mr. Banya's opinions.
Is that it?
Finally,
Finally.
Adam Bercovici. On May 19th, 2022, Ms. Heard attempted to call Adam Bercovici, who is an expert in the policing and Los Angeles Police Department policing of domestic violence calls for service. Mr. Bercovici would have testified to his qualifications in the field of policing and LAPD policing of domestic violence calls for service as follows, and further outlined in Ms. Heard's fourth supplemental and rebuttal disclosures dated March 31st, 2022.
Cannot appeal if the
Mr. Bercovici
objection
spent
isn't
30
on
years with the
record.
LAPD, retiring in 2012 at the rank of lieutenant.
Depositions
He has
that
extensive
were
experience as a
objected to
patrol
and
officer, field
sustained
supervisor, uniformed
are
watch
not
commander,
on
both
record.
as sergeant, second,
Gotcha.
and lieutenant one, along
Thank
with
you,
multiple
undecided middle
assignments
ground.
as an officer in charge,
you
lieutenant
for that.
second of
All
specialized
you
detective
guys.
units. During his tenure with the LAPD,
Thank you for everybody the clarification, because I was confused there. I'm like, man, This is BS.
Officers' responses
But I
to
get it now.
domestic violence calls for service, including as a patrol officer, supervisor, watch commander, and assistant watch commander. And actually, this, Your Honor, is the person who prepared this prepared a longer brief of what he was going to say. Is it okay to just submit it rather than
All right.
hearing me read it all?
Any objection to that? No objection. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Everyone
fine.
wants to go home.
And with that, that's
Okay.
proper.
You just scared me with the size of that.
No,
book.
I
just wanted to-
understand.
Okay. All right, that's fine. If you can get Jamie our copy of it, we'll make sure it becomes
course,
part of the record as well.
Thank
Okay?
you. Mhm.
All right. Do you have any proffers, Mr. Chu, that you need to, at this point?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Then I think there's just a couple things I need from you. Like tomorrow, let me, by the end of the day tomorrow, if I could get clean jury instructions without the cites on them for the ones that have been admitted, and also the verdict forms as well, if that's been worked out. Okay.
Your Honor, we sent revised jury instructions to them yesterday morning and a revised verdict form today. So just waiting to get
Okay,
that. But we'll
sure.
coordinate.
All right. Thank you. And you're working with Jamie about some exhibits. There's some that were, both sides noted that were in evidence that are not. So I want to make sure everybody gets everything cleared up. You're caught up? Okay, good. All right, just keep that going so we can get that, make sure that's taken care of. As far as time left, Sammy, today, I can give you a rough estimate for two reasons. One, you had some depositions, so make sure you give the breakdowns to Sammy about those. And two, Sammy wasn't here today. He had a mandatory CLE that he had to do. So I just did a rough estimate, and I want to qualify that as a rough estimate. But it looks like the plaintiff has used about 5 hours today, and
Oh,
the
wow.
defendant used about 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's what I have. Okay. And again, that's a rough estimate, so don't expect them to be the same. But Sammy's going to get to it this evening and send you an email this evening with the actual accurate times. Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning.
You too. Thank you.
All right, guys. Today was quite a roller coaster ride. A lot of different things went down. Honestly, I'm a little upset. I'm a little perturbed. I was expecting Jennifer Howell to be like dropping some serious bombshells. She did drop one throughout the entire her entire deposition, but it was mainly just her saying like, I'm sick and tired of people. I'm sick and tired of you know, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody lie for their sister. And obviously we already know who she's talking to and who she's pertaining to. So there's some crazy stuff that's going on. You know, and some of it was good. Some of it was a big, huge nothing burger. Jennifer's, you know, deposition, there was some good things in there, but there weren't any bombshells. Yes, Debbie, she wanted to do nothing but tell the truth. She wanted nothing but just be there and say, man, I'm here to tell the truth. Shut the hell up. Okay. But I really do agree. Warebane CEO, I do agree. I think the only biggest bombshell throughout the entire day today in this trial was Walter Hamada, who said, who dropped all those bombs about like, yo, it had nothing to do with, ooh, I wonder what's going on over here with Amber Heard and her team, with Elaine. She's like, how many ways can I lie? How can I get away with this by lying? I'm going to blow this up a little bit. We need to see this. This is interesting. Keep it on her. Do not cut out. Wherever we're watching this, do not cut out. Do not pan away. Man, if they had the audio on. Come on. No audio at all? Son of a bee. Okay. But clearly you can see something's up. Amber ain't happy. Understandably. I mean, she's been not happy for a while. Apparently, the lawyers have been having screaming matches with her and all that because she's been all up in her feelings because she done messed this up. She did some very stupid things and made some really stupid choices. So did her team. Period. Her team is weak sauce. But this is fascinating. What is going on here? I've never been so fascinated in my life. But here it is. They're just going to keep lying. They're going to keep bringing people up or whatever, because they apparently have 3 hours left or something like that. If that at best. But look at that. She looks defeated. In my personal opinion, she looks like she's defeated. Like she's like, I don't even know what to do. Oh, cut it out like that. Don't do that to me, you dirty son of a gun. I'm gonna check something else over here though.
700 feet.
I just want to see if they're still playing it over
You
here.
see this?
Nope, they are not. Damn. Well, that was very interesting to see, though. I'll be honest, that was very interesting to see. They cut it out, but yeah, she looked like something was up, y'all. She definitely looked like something was up. But anyway, I digress. The only big bombshell that went down was about the editing and how there was no chemistry between Jason Momoa and Amber Heard. That and that's why the reason why she was cut down to such a smaller role or a small amount of screen time for this next sequel to the movie and all that. That's the reason why she is not in the movie as much, and it has nothing to do with what Waldman or Johnny Depp ever put out on social media or in a news a news article, okay, or any type of blog site or gossip column or anything like that. So I thought that was very, very interesting. You know what I mean? I thought it was very interesting to see what that was. And unfortunately, Kathleen, I don't bring other people's feeds on. I don't do that just out of respect to their feed, because it's just not right. And also, I don't want to get hit and slapped with copyright problems and all that, as far as that goes. But I'm sure he is having a grand old time, given the fact that he had a whole segment. I mean, they just made his career. Real talk. They just made his damn career. So lucky Tug. But allegedly, as I heard through the grapevine or through the chat here, they're trying to dox him now. But he's been having issues with Amber Heard and the team of Amber Heard for a very long while. Ever since this whole lawsuit was dropped, what popped off and all that. So it kind of is par for the course. And he's not the only one that's had to deal with some issues. Incredibly Average had some issues. There's a lot of other channels, very, very big channels, that are having some issues right now solely because of this covering and talking about this trial. So it is very, very interesting. And of course, we're gonna be talking about this more, as time goes on. But yes, there is a breaking story that we know of as of right now. I'm seeing different stories being told about how many people are hurt. Oh wow, that's dope. Dirt Road Chillin'. A lot of followers are letting Tug know Pascal wants to talk with him live. That's amazing. That would be dope. I would love to have him on. Real talk. I'd love to pick his brain because I know he's got a lot of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? He's busy, and he's got a lot of followers and all that. He's been putting out some really, really great content. So hopefully I'll hear from him over the day, or over the next day or two. You know what I'm saying? It'd be great to have him on when he has time. So Dirt Road Chillin', thank you so much for letting me know. I really do appreciate that. Even so, Emily Baker is also somebody I've been wanting to have come on to the show and chop it up with her as well. Knowing some lawyers in your corner is always nice, especially the ones that are on YouTube and have no problem being on camera. You see what I'm saying? So like my boy Eddie, you know what I mean? Now, yes, back to that really, really quick. Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing that it's 14 that have perished and 1 adult. So 15 altogether. But I haven't seen a confirmation of it yet. So I'm going to jump off here and I'm going to take a look, because obviously it's a very big story. It's terrible, devastating news. And, of course I'll be jumping on, sometime tonight to possibly talk about this, to be really, really honest, because obviously this is terrible. That's why even with this summer, guys, I'm going to be real. This summer, we have got to be careful out here. There's so many. Yeah, I get it. We all want to go and jump in the pools and swim and go into the beach and have a grand old time. But more and more now, we're seeing more and more people getting hurt when they least expect it, when they're not being safe, when they could be safe. And I'm not sitting here saying don't live your life. I'm not saying that at all. Just keep your head on a swivel, not only just for the sake of your family and your loved ones, but also for the sake of yourself. Okay? There's a lot of bad things going on out here. People are angry. This is going to be a hot summer, y'all. I'm telling you. Gas prices are going to be up and people's temperatures are going to be up. Okay? So just want to let you guys know that. But anyway, guys, I got to get going. I got to jump off here. Okay? But I wanted to say thank you guys so much for talking with me, hanging out with me on this watch party. We will be talking about this news that's been breaking. There's obviously apparently a live report right now where the police officers are giving a briefing. I'm going to try to do that in a little bit. But unfortunately, I got some things I got to take care of very shortly here. But anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being on. My heart and thoughts and prayers go out to all the people of that Rose Elementary School. That's some terrible, terrible, devastating news. And I'm praying for them. Real talk. But anyway, guys, it's time to get going. I really do appreciate y'all. Hit that like button down below. All right. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Crush it. Make it scream out your dang name. Okay. It'd be really, really appreciated. And I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. Have a great rest of your evening. Spend it with the people that you love. All right. Hug them from me. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.